He was a hero, but despised by his colleagues and the public, just because he killed a villain to save a little girl. They always believed a hero must protect everyone, and forced that ridiculous rule onto him. Just when he was about to throw away this trashy hero label, he was murdered by his own colleagues. Before dying, his brother gave him a chance to start over. Opening his eyes, he found himself resurrected in a new body. After gaining its memories, he realized the owner of this body was a high school student suffering from severe bullying. They shoved his head into the water until he stopped breathing. But he soon discovered, hidden inside this kid's body was the power of a monster. It was so strong that it surpassed even an SS-class villain. But because the original owner was too weak, he had never been able to use this power. In this life, he decided to show those heroes what a true villain looks like. Inside the restroom, water kept dripping. A scream echoed loudly. Holy shit! Someone was getting their head shoved into the toilet, surrounded by the echoing shouts of the bystanders. That bastard isn't breathing. What? Is he dead? Holy fuck! Run! Suddenly, bubbles started rising from the water, signaling signs of life. The person struggled, yanking his head out of the large pool of water. A head was pulled out of the toilet, water splashing everywhere. Heavy, gasping breaths echoed continuously. The necklace glowing on his neck was the very same one Jeff had given to Cashin. He opened his mouth in sheer panic. The scene continued inside the men's restroom. The sound of a flushing toilet echoed along with a bewildered question. Where am I? Dripping wet footsteps stepped outside. The confusion continued. I fell off a cliff, and what's wrong with my voice? It seemed to be Cashin. He stared at his reflection in the mirror in utter disbelief. Cashin hurriedly touched his face with trembling hands. His eyes widened in panic. What? Is this me? No way. This is ridiculous. How did I turn into some brat? And what about my body? Meanwhile, the faucet was still running at full blast. He frantically washed his face to wake himself up. This has to be a dream. But right after, he let out a sigh and brushed his hair back. Cashin still couldn't believe the situation. He gritted his teeth, glaring at himself in the mirror. Damn it, dream my ass. He gripped the edge of the sink tightly and yelled, What the hell is going on? What? Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced through his head. A rush of information quickly flooded Cashin's mind. He realized in a daze, Kwon Gangu? Am I in Korea right now? Cashin had now become Gangu. Looking at the glowing necklace on his neck, he was a bit bewildered. How the hell did this happen? And what's with these weird memories in my head? Suddenly, a voice rang out, making him freeze in shock. Are you awake, Cashin? Gangu frantically looked around and shouted, Who's there? Suddenly, the necklace glowed strangely. A dark magical energy emerged from it, forming a living creature in front of Gangu. It introduced itself. My name is Moros, and I am a noble spirit from ancient times. Gangu still didn't understand what was going on, his jaw dropping in shock. He pointed a trembling finger at it and demanded, What? What the hell are you? Did you just pop out of that necklace? Moros awkwardly explained, I am not a what. I am Moros. It narrowed its eyes and smiled eerily. More importantly, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Don't you want to hear my answers? Gangu just stared helplessly at Moros. The scene shifted to the school courtyard. His bewildered voice echoed. So you're saying? Gangu asked again to be sure. That you brought me back from the dead? Moros replied, losing its patience. I've told you dozens of times already. It floated beside him, adding, Come to think of it, you're pretty fluent in Korean. Gangu replied naturally. That's because I lived in Korea until I was adopted. Then he realized something was wrong and cursed under his breath. Damn it. Gangu remembered Jeff's appearance before he died, questioning himself. I died, and then came back. Does that mean something? Suddenly, Moros interrupted his train of thought. Jeff was the one who gave me to you, right? He did that to protect you. Gangu lowered his head in confusion, recalling the past. To protect me? No way. Then what he said back then. Then he let out a helpless sigh. Gangu finally accepted the truth and changed the subject. You said Jeff was looking for something? Something like a rusty sword, right? Moros quickly explained it to him in detail. The Sword of Destruction. It even elaborated on its origins. That sword was forged a long time ago, during the War of the Mythological Era. Gangu was a bit surprised. And how do you know about things from so long ago? Moros explained arrogantly. Of course I know. Because I am a noble spirit. But he bluntly asked back, what the hell is that? It didn't bother explaining further. If you don't understand, just listen and learn. Hearing this, Gengu turned pale with anger. He pulled his phone out of his pocket and continued questioning it. How can I believe a word you say? Based on what? Oh, so this is Quan Genga's phone. Moros turned to him, awkwardly trying to prove itself. You know, I had to sacrifice half of my power to save you. He scrolled through Gengu's phone and replied blankly. Sacrifice? I can't believe that either. Suddenly, he saw something that made his eyes widen in fury. The news articles were smearing and writing false information about both him and Jeff. They pinned all the blame on the two of them, making Gengu unable to hold back his anger. What the fuck is this? His face darkened, unable to comprehend the situation. They're saying I'm the one who killed him. His arm trembled uncontrollably as he tapped the screen. Gengu remembered the happy times he and Jeff shared, constantly telling himself, this is nonsense. It's not true. He grew angrier by the second. Gengu gritted his teeth, generating a small spark of lightning. Suddenly, the aura around him turned gray. Gengu growled loudly, Lampus, those bastards. How dare they accuse me like this? Instead of protecting the innocent, they tried to drown me. Moros quickly tried to calm him down. Calm down, Cashin. Your current path. You are. But more and more sparks of electricity began to appear around Gengu. His eyes had also changed into two different colors. A bolt of lightning struck, making Gengu hold his face in pain. How could they? Suddenly, sharp claws grew out of his hands. Gengu opened his eyes wide in panic, looking at himself. He stared down at his new claws in shock and stammered, What is this? After observing for a moment, Gengu couldn't help but scream, What the hell is going on? Meanwhile, in another corner of the schoolyard, another angry shout rang out. Fuck! What's taking that punk so long? A group of guys was sitting together in a corner. Kihyun cursed, Stop whining. He'll be here soon. Opposite them, a chubby guy was running over, panting heavily. Kihyun looked at him with disdain and mocked. Look at that pig run. Then he turned and interrogated the chubby guy. Did you check? The guy, still catching his breath, replied nervously. Yeah. His next words left the group bewildered. There's no one in the toilet. The guy with glasses asked anxiously. No one? Are you sure you checked carefully? The chubby guy replied fearfully. He continued to interrogate. What about the police or an ambulance? The guy stepped back nervously and answered. I didn't see anything like that. It's completely empty. This made Kihyun annoyed, gritting his teeth. What the hell? Hearing this, the blonde guy jumped up aggressively and shouted. You said that bastard was dead. You said he stopped breathing, you pig brain. The guy with glasses recalled the previous scene with some doubt. No way. I'm sure he stopped breathing. Right after, Kihyun grabbed his bag and ordered the chubby guy. You can go. The guy obediently listened. The blonde guy stood up in annoyance and cursed loudly. Damn it. Just because of that animal, I almost had a heart attack. Why are you reacting so slowly? Kihyun poked a straw into his milk carton and appeased him. Shut up. That's enough. Since that dog isn't dead, it's actually a good thing. Hearing this, the blonde guy turned to look at him and asked, So what are you going to do to him? Kihyun slurped his milk and replied, What do you think? He licked his lips, smirked, and said, I'm going to make his life a living hell again. The scene shifted to the rooftop with warm sunlight. Moros stared at Gengu, provoking him. Did you come up to the roof to avoid being seen? It kept taunting him. Good judgment, Cashin. He remembered the situation from earlier and shouted angrily. Just shut the fuck up. Then Gengu, still unable to accept the truth, interrogated it. Explain why I became a villain. Moros put its hands on its hips, annoyed. You entered that body. However, it patiently explained to him. Because you came back to life when you were supposed to be dead, the balance of fate was tipped. A series of information was given to Gengu. Originally, the owner of your body was destined to survive and become a villain in the future. In fact, a potential disaster-class villain. However, Gengu still couldn't accept this truth and shouted, his eyes wide with panic. Disaster class? Gengu asked in disbelief. Are you saying, because I came back to life, I inherited his destiny? Moros quickly confirmed, exactly. Suddenly, Gengu let out a disdainful laugh. He seemed a bit devastated, leaning against the wall. I used to be a top-tier psyker, and now I'm a villain? Gangu raised his hand to examine it. And a disaster-class villain at that. Right after, he punched the wall hard, causing it to crack. Ganga shouted in agony, "Why?" He glared at Moros and demanded, "Why did you revive me?" Moros, feeling a bit helpless, tried to calm him down. "Cashin, no matter how hard it is, you need to calm down." However, Ganga couldn't calm down. "Shut up." Moros tried its best to explain. "You probably know this already, but a villain's rationality is consumed by their strong desires. Right now, you can definitely feel it from within." As soon as it said that, he also realized something was changing inside him. Malice was surging within him. Moros calmly explained the reason. "At that time, I was still able to control it. But because your anger is growing, the malice might slip out of control." And then, this truth became too much for Gangu to accept, and he shouted, "Stop. That's enough." He crouched down, holding his head. "A villain? I'd rather." His large hands covered his face in agony. However, Moros firmly asserted to Gangu, "You have to live." It tried its best to convince him. "If Jeff were here, he would tell you the same thing." That seemed to actually work. Gangu dropped his hands and looked up, asking, "What are you talking about?" Seeing that he was paying more attention, Moros continued, "Before we met, Jeff told me that he regretted dragging you into this." Its words were somewhat heartbreaking. Even though he knew death was approaching, he had no intention of surviving. However, it's all true. Instead, he took his only chance at survival and left it for you. Moros delivered the final blow to Ganga's psyche. So don't let his choice go to waste. Under the clear blue sky, his name was called by it once again. "Cashin." Moros stared at him, advising, "You need to calm down. Like what you're doing right now." Gangu angrily yelled again, "Stop ordering me around. You talk too much." Moros asked in confusion, "Does that mean you don't want to turn back into a human?" After thinking it through, Gangu replied, "I'll do it. Just be quiet for a second." Gangu called out softly, "Hey you." Moros looked annoyed and introduced itself. "I'm not Hey you. I am Moros, a noble spirit." Gangu asked it darkly, "What exactly are you? And don't give me that bullshit about being a noble spirit." Moros narrowed its eyes teasingly. "Are you interested?" He immediately shouted, confirming, "Of course I am." Looking down at the schoolyard below, he probed, "If you're strong enough to bring someone back from the dead." Before he could finish, Moros interrupted, "Once you find the sword of destruction, you'll naturally understand." Gangu sighed helplessly. "That rusty sword." Then he leaned against the rooftop railing and pondered, "Maybe that piece of scrap metal." "No, the sword of destruction is related to Jeff's death." Moros chimed in, "I believe so." Suddenly, a loud shout caught both of their attention. "Hey, loser." Ki-hun and his gang walked over, provoking him. "Cuckoo." He smirked disdainfully. "I'm so fucking glad to see you're still alive." In a very quiet environment, someone suddenly walked by, catching the eyes of all the female students. They looked at the psyker trainee and gossiped endlessly. "He's so handsome. Oh my god. Holy crap. This is the first time I've seen someone like him." That person was a psyker. Fire attribute. Rank undetermined. Kim Yukin. Despite being so sought after, Yukin walked calmly. Suddenly, he received a call from his senior, Lee Da-won. Yukin asked calmly, "Yes, Da-won Sunbae. What's up?" The two continued talking amidst the whispers and gossip of the people around them. About that. Suddenly, his eyes swept past something and narrowed. Yukin looked up through the window to observe. Then, as he walked away, he told the person on the phone, "I'll call you back." Up on the rooftop, Ki-hun and his gang were blocking Gangu's path. He just stood there, staring at them without making a move. Suddenly, unpleasant memories flooded back, making Gangu uncomfortable. These guys. He glanced at Moros, who understood and reassured him, "Don't worry. Except for you, no one can see me." Suddenly, Ki-hun yelled from the opposite side, "Motherfucker, I'm speechless." His lackeys also angrily pointed at Gangu. "When I think about how I had to bust my ass over a retard like you." Ki-hun pulled out a cigarette and called out to him, "Quan Gangu, you're still as clueless as ever, huh?" His eyes were filled with resentment. "If you're not dead yet, you should have reported in. Who said you could sneak up here and hide?" Suddenly, to their surprise, he provoked them, "Are you done barking?" Gangu remained silent, his emotions unreadable. I'm in a really bad mood right now. He cracked his knuckles, preparing for a fight, and threatened, I don't really enjoy beating up little kids, but I think you need to be taught a lesson. Moros suddenly spoke up to remind him. Cashin, even without transforming, a villain's physical abilities far exceed those of a normal human. It's best if you hold back, or else. Before it could finish, Gangu impatiently cut in. I know. One of Ki-hun's 2 lackeys stepped forward. You son of a bitch. He gritted his teeth and threatened him. What the fuck did you just bark? Did you finally go crazy after getting bitten by a rabid dog? Gangu's eyes also sharpened as he faced him. Immediately, the lackey's eyes widened in anger. Then he swung his fist, ready to hit Gangu. Look down, you little shit. However, right after, he delivered a powerful kick straight to the guy's face. The lackey couldn't react in time. Ki-hun and the other guy also froze, not knowing what to do. Gangu just lightly took a stance, ready to continue. The lackey collapsed, leaving the other 2 stunned for a long time. Ki-hun's eyes widened in fear. Holy shit, what did that loser just do? Finally, the remaining lackey reacted, swinging his bat and charging forward. You bastard. You're dead meat. Gangu quickly reacted to him as well. He stomped his foot on the ground to gain momentum. Right after, he raised his arm to block the guy's bat, while pulling his other arm back to deliver a punch. After taking that punch head-on, the guy fell backward. Ki-hun was stunned once again. Looking at the blonde guy already groveling on the floor, Ki-hun felt terrified. Looking at the other guy, he had no words left. 2 down in an instant. After dealing with them, Gangu turned to look at Ki-hun. He threatened him, making him step back continuously. Have you ever felt guilty when bullying others? Seeing this, Gangu pressed on and demanded, Why aren't you answering? Ki-hun suddenly let out an eerie laugh. Guilt? What's that? He yelled at him like a madman. Seeing you losers act like that makes me sick to my stomach. Gangu's face grew darker and darker at his words. You think poisoning a few small fries gives you the right to lecture me? I bet you don't feel guilty at all. He warned him. In that case, I need to smack you a few times. Gangu clenched his fist and raised it threateningly. After you take a beating, I'm sure you'll feel guilty. The 2 of them stood facing each other on the school rooftop. Gangu dashed forward with full speed. Ki-hun also raised both hands in a defensive stance. In an instant, they charged straight at each other without mercy. As soon as Ki-hun's fist approached, Gangu ducked to dodge, letting it swing past his head. Then he looked up and landed a solid punch right in his face. Ki-hun lost his balance and fell backward. Gangu didn't stop and continued to swing his fists, punching him again. This time, a critical punch landed straight in his stomach, making Ki-hun helplessly roll his eyes back. He opened his mouth wide to scream, but no sound came out. Ki-hun clutched his stomach in pain and dropped to his knees. Only then did Gangu feel satisfied. He stopped and stared at him. He stepped closer and asked disdainfully, Feeling any more guilty now? Ki-hun was trembling in pain, but still stubbornly cursed back. Motherfucker. You bastard. Hearing this, Gangu got even more fired up. He grabbed him by the collar and threatened. I tried to hold back, but I guess that wasn't enough for you, huh? His eyes darkened as he stared at him. I'll just have to beat you up a little more. Feeling Gangu's murderous aura, Ki-hun also began to feel terrified. Suddenly, someone approached from behind to intervene. Don't you think that's enough? Yukin casually put his hands in his pockets and looked at the 2 of them. As soon as Ki-hun saw him, his eyes widened in fear. Kim Yukin. Gangu didn't hesitate to throw him aside, making him lose his balance. Then he stepped up to confront Yukin. Who are you? And why the hell are you interfering in someone else's fight? He calmly asked back. What do you gain from fighting someone who's no match for you? Hearing this, Ki-hun's eyes widened in confusion. What? No match for him? Is he saying this loser is stronger than me? Then he gritted his teeth, grinding them loudly. Ki-hun lost his temper and charged at Gangu from behind. Son of a bitch. Right after, he simply pivoted on his toes to gain momentum and turned around. A powerful kick landed squarely on Ki-hun's stomach. Unable to defend himself, he was sent flying quite a distance before crashing hard onto the ground. Yukin stepped forward, grabbed Gangu's shoulder, and raised his voice to stop him. I said that's enough. However, Gangu couldn't keep his cool. He spun around and glared at him. Yukin seemed a bit stunned by the situation. Yukin mercilessly drove an elbow straight into his stomach. However, he was also a bit surprised by what was happening. Yukin used both of his arms to block Genga's attack. He threw another punch at him. But once again, Genga didn't hit anything. After gaining momentum, Yukin also raised his leg, ready to fight. He aimed a hook kick straight at Gengu, but he quickly dodged it. As Genga dodged each attack, he frowned and muttered, "So fast." Moros also panicked and yelled, "Cashin! He's a psyker. Getting into a fight in your current state is gonna be tough." Hearing its voice, Genga stopped and looked over. What? Meanwhile, Yukin was also charging forward with clenched fists and a determined look. His punch grazed past Genga's body. However, the blood splattering proved that he had been injured. He stared blankly at the wound on his face. Damn it! The warm sunlight continued to shine on the school. Yukin stood in a fighting stance in front of Gengu. He also stared at him cautiously. Looking at Yukin's serious demeanor, Genga thought to himself, "Is this guy a psyker?" His eyes suddenly narrowed dangerously. But right after, Yukin raised his hands and stepped back. "Let's stop here. Continuing this fight won't do either of us any good." This left him a bit bewildered, and he yelled. Yukin kindly offered a band-aid to Gengu. He gently reminded him, "Your face is hurt." Time seemed to freeze as no one spoke. Right after, Gengu raised his hand and snatched the band-aid from his hand. Then he turned and walked away without leaving a single word. Yukin calmly watched his back. Looking at the thugs lying flat on the ground, he felt a bit uneasy. 1 against 3. I didn't know there was someone like that in this school. He glanced down at his own hand. Yukin's arm suddenly throbbed with a bit of pain. The scene shifted to a large building near the school. Genga had gone to a PC bang, a place with computers to do whatever you want. The space inside the PC bang was pitch black, with only the faint light from the monitors. Gengu continuously typed on the keyboard in front of him. Looking at the access denied message on the screen, he felt a bit helpless. "I don't have access. Looks like my membership ID expired." Genga disappointedly put his hands on his head. "I was looking forward to it so much, but there's really nothing." The scene shifted again to a tall building. Gengu stood leaning against the wall and called out, "Moros." He ate the hamburger in his hand while asking, "How did you know he was a psyker?" Moros didn't react in time and asked back, "You mean the guy you ran into on the school roof?" Without waiting for him to answer, it automatically explained, "When you clashed with him, I could sense it through the impact." Gengu suddenly lowered his head and muttered, "That ability is pretty useful." Moros humbly brushed it off. "This is nothing." Then it continued to explain, "With you, if you use the Eye of Judgment, you'll be able to grasp much more detailed information." Genga didn't seem very familiar with it. "Eye of Judgment. How do you know about something like that?" Therefore, Moros tried to add, "Because I am a noble spirit who has carefully observed and studied the knowledge of this world." Speaking of which, it paused for a moment, lowered its voice dangerously, and asked Gengu, "How do you plan on transforming into a villain? In case you need to use your power in the future, now is the best time to figure out your abilities." He acted a bit clueless, not knowing how to answer. Seeing his reaction, Moros broke the silence first. "I'm guessing you don't want to, do you?" This time, he quickly replied, "Of course not." However, right after, he crumpled the piece of paper in his hand and made up his mind. "But I'll try." His face showed a hint of helplessness. "Because I have nothing else to rely on except this villain power. What do I need to do?" Moros, waiting for this, spoke up. "Becoming a villain means losing control over your own desires and emotions." Genga casually complained, "Sounds complicated as hell." Moros's eyes narrowed slightly. "In your case, it seems the anger is growing." Hearing this, he clenched his fists. Anger. Unpleasant memories quickly flashed through his mind. Gengu let out a furious roar. He seemed to have lost control, screaming continuously, "Lampas! You bastards! I'll slaughter you all." Moros was a bit shocked by the situation and yelled, "What are you doing?" Gengu yelled right back at its face, "Getting angry, what else?" Moros felt a bit helpless at Genga's naivety. "You don't have to scream your lungs out. I just meant for you to imagine it in your head." Hearing this, he became embarrassed. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" The clear blue sky with a touch of golden sunlight covered the entire city. On the main road, a car was speeding along. Inside the car, a voice rang out, "That villain's name is Blaster. He's a complete lunatic." He's obsessed with blowing things up and treats it like a work of art to be admired. Yukon pointed at the tablet screen and commented, "Looks like he passed through Incheon Port and entered illegally. And someone spotted him in Garm District." His eyes showed a hint of worry. Just Blaster alone caused 102 casualties? That's quite a lot. The person next to Yukon was just leisurely eating the food in his hand. He chewed loudly while adding, "His solo combat ability is nothing special, but he has the power to create explosions, so he's quite a hassle." This was a Night Class Psyker, physical attribute, rank B, Lee Da-won. Da-won had a mouthful of food, making his voice sound muffled. Moreover, his personality is pretty rotten and weird. If you ask, I'll give you a general overview. However, Yukon remained silent. Besides destruction, what else do those villains like? His eyes were filled with danger. They're nothing but antisocial criminals. People who can't control their emotions and desires. We have to root them out before they act. Da-won suddenly turned to ask him, "Hey, do you know that every time you talk about villains, your face looks really scary?" But Yukon just casually looked at the tablet and replied, "A psyker's duty is to follow the call of justice. I'm only saying what needs to be said." Da-won just let out a soft sigh and smiled. He drove while sarcastically telling Yukon, "I'm the one who has to worry about following the call of justice. You just focus on supporting me, apprentice." Hearing this, he just glanced at him without saying a word. The scene shifted to a place with many tall buildings. Gengu was casually standing in front of a system screen. Moros explained the new things to him. "This is your status. This window is open using the Eye of Judgment." The system displayed all of his information. Name, Kwon Gengu. Special note, Disaster Class Villain. Attribute, Darkness. Activation, Expression of Anger. Skills, Dark Blade, Auto Recovery. After reading it, Gengu softly muttered, "Looks just like a game." Then he suddenly noticed something surprising and asked, "Dark Blade and Auto Recovery?" Moros quickly answered his question. "Those are the skills you can use right now." Then Moros continued to tell him something interesting. "Thanks to the Auto Recovery ability, the wound on your face healed faster." Gengu immediately touched his face in surprise. "Really?" Then he raised his hand, stared at it, and asked, "Will my arms and legs grow back if they get chopped off?" Moros explained without hesitation, "Something like that. Your power will be limited by the amount of mana you have at any given time." Gengu continued with his barrage of questions. "What about those hidden skills?" Moros had to explain further. "Those are powers you haven't manifested yet. They'll only reveal themselves as you get stronger." Looking at the stats on the screen, Gengu shouted angrily, "Wait, my mana is 300. When I was a psyker, my points were over 1,500. Then he calmed down and let out a disappointed sigh. Compared to a disaster class, this is a bit. Moros just glanced over. Disaster class is based on your potential. It narrowed its eyes and kept explaining to him. You've probably heard that human potential is like a rough diamond, right? Basically, whether you become a rock or a diamond depends on how much training you put in. Genga didn't care about that and pointed at the screen, asking, "This Eye of Judgment ability of yours, besides me, can you use it on other people?" Moros had to answer again. "Of course, but you have to remember that my daily limit is only 3 people." Hearing this, Gengu asked further, "So what happens if you use it more than 3 times?" Moros thought for a moment and recounted, "I think that happened when I was still with Jeff. If I remember correctly, after overloading myself, I slept for half a day." Genga became deep in thought. Half a day? Moros, seeing that he seemed to be planning to do just that, quickly corrected him. "Let's test your main skills." Gengu also became calmer and continued asking, "So what do I do? Do I have to shout the skill name out loud like in a game?" Moros gently guided him. "Just imagine your dark blade in your head." Gengu swung his arm, creating a massive shockwave. Like this. Unable to believe his own destructive power, he looked down in shock. It actually works. Something shot out from the shadow. Then he extended his long, sharp claws and examined them. "Holy shit, I can even touch it." His face was filled with surprise. "It's just a shadow, but it's as sharp as a knife. Sharp enough to slice right through." Moros was also stunned by his destructive power. "I thought this guy would take all day to manifest his skills, but I didn't expect him to control them instantly like this." Looking at Gengu, it thought in disbelief, "No way. Could it be that Jeff actually saw his potential? Meanwhile, he didn't care much and kept tapping on the thing in front of him. It's pretty sturdy too. Maybe I can use it as a shield. Seeing him distracted, Moros reminded him. Remember, since you're a villain now, you can create your own combat outfit and weapons. However, Genga felt it was a bit redundant. I know that. Right after, he created an outfit for himself. That was pretty fast. Alright, this is perfect. Moros narrowed its eyes and judged him. Yikes, your fashion sense is terrible. It looks awful. This made Gangu embarrassed, and he yelled, Shut up. The sky had gradually turned into the red hues of sunset. Moros tagged along behind Gangu. The sun is about to set. Where are you going? He casually replied. Immediately, it froze and stared at his back. Gangu knew it was wondering, so he answered first. Quan Gangu has a family too. He thought about Gangu's memories. His parents are gone, but he lives with his older sister who works. Moros asked in surprise, Are you planning to meet her? He quickly replied, Of course. As he walked, he explained to it. Even though destiny dictated that he'd be a disaster-class villain, he cared deeply for his sister. Moros looked at him in confusion. Are you feeling guilty? Hearing this, Genga got even angrier. Didn't you say he had to die because I took over his body? His loud shout annoyed the people around him. Is this guy crazy? Suddenly, a loud noise rang out, accompanied by a blinding light. Genga was stunned by it for a long moment. The civilians around them were terrified and ran away in panic. Genga's eyes widened as he looked at the emergency situation. The large building next to them was on fire, billowing thick black smoke. The people running outside screamed in panic. Holy shit. It's a villain. He just entered the country. And he even posted it on social media. The situation was getting more urgent. Oh my god. They took a mother and child hostage. Call the police. Hearing this, Genga turned around. Hostages. He gritted his teeth, glaring at the fiercely burning building. Genga dashed off without hesitation, startling Moros. It frantically yelled after him. Cashin, wait. Moros flew right in front of Genga to stop him. Are you going to fight a villain? He's on a completely different level than those bullies from this morning. It looked increasingly panicked. His power far exceeds what a normal human can handle. However, Genga didn't care and kept charging forward. Then I just need to turn into a villain. However, Moros's next words completely woke him up. You used to be a psyker, so you should know that villains have an unwritten rule not to fight their own kind. Its voice cut into Genga's heart like a knife. Unless there's a grudge or a special reason like revenge, fighting is not allowed. Moros's eyes flashed with danger as it warned. If you go in there now as a villain, you'll be seen as meddling in someone else's business. It used more and more reasons to persuade him. And that means you'll become public enemy number one to all villains, even before you get to face Lampus. Right after, Gangu turned his foot sideways to brake and stop. He stood in front of the burning building, but didn't make a move. Gangu's eyes showed a hint of determination as he looked up. So what if I do? Moros was extremely dissatisfied with his attitude. More and more black smoke billowed out. Moros helplessly called out to him, Cashin, I hope you're not acting because you think it's a psyker's duty. However, he helplessly cut in, I don't know what else to do. In the end, the two of them still decided to go inside. He has hostages. They said a mother and child were taken. Gangu walked up the stairs, silently making up his mind. That's what made me hesitate. But now I know. His eyes became sharper than ever. If I just stand by and do nothing, then that would be a sin. Moros was also stunned by Ganga's attitude. It remembered the time it spent with Jeff. He had looked off into the distance and said, he has a very hot temper. That's why people call him a mad dog. Jeff gently opened his pocket watch, which had a picture of him and Cashin. But deep down, he has a kinder heart than anyone I know. Jeff's eyes were filled with love as he told Moros. That's why I believe in Cashin. Watching Gangu's hurried footsteps, Moros thought to itself, I chose Jeff. And Jeff chose Cashin. He rushed upstairs in a hurry. Remembering Jeff's warm smile, Moros also made up its mind. If things are already like this, what more can I say? Then it shouted to Gangu, reminding him, transform quickly, Cashin. I'll support you with everything I've got. The building was increasingly engulfed in black smoke and a sea of fire. The space inside was also devastated, with not a single soul in sight. The floor was covered in debris, and trash was scattered everywhere with no one to clean it up. The teddy bears displayed in the glass cases were also shattered. In a corner of the room, a trembling plea rang out. "Please, don't do this to us." A bomb was being held in someone's hand. Blaster approached the two hostages, mocking them. "So pitiful. Don't cry. Don't cry." Ignoring their trembling and tear-filled eyes, he kept talking. "We're doing this so everyone can have fun. You shouldn't cry." Blaster got closer and closer, making the hostages shake violently. "Come on, give me a big smile." Then he flashed a creepy smile at them. "Like me." This was Blaster, rank C villain, arsonist type, fire attribute. Meanwhile, Yukin's car was parked at a gas station. He stood leaning against the car, deep in thought. Then Yukin gently pulled up his sleeve and saw his bandaged arm. He recalled the fight with Gango earlier. "I let my guard down a bit." Yukin smiled slightly to himself while the phone in his pocket vibrated. "Come to think of it, I still don't know his name." He answered the phone. "Hello, Kim," Yukin speaking. Suddenly, something shocked Yukin, making his eyes widen. At the same time, Dawon was on the phone flirting. Sorry, babe. I'm working right now. Next time, I'll take you out for a really nice meal, I promise." He was still joking around. "I mean it. You're my one and only Sky. I gotta go now. Bye, my little cutie." Yukin turned to look at Dawon and replied to the person on the other end. "He just went to the restroom." "Oh, he's out now." Then he walked over and gave Dawon a brief explanation. "Sunbae, it's an emergency call." He panicked and yelled, "What?" Yukin's eyes turned serious as he warned, "Blaster has appeared." Inside the building, Blaster was still leisurely talking to the hostages. "Kid, have you ever seen colorful fireworks exploding high up in the sky?" The little boy was so terrified of him that tears welled up in his eyes, his whole body trembling. "No." He looked up at the sky and sighed. "Oh my God, such a beautiful sight, and you haven't seen it yet? What a tragedy." Right after, Blaster reached out and gently touched the boy's cheek to comfort him. "But there's no need to be sad." He flashed a bizarre smile and said, "I'll show you something even more beautiful than that." Blaster paused for a moment, then turned to look at the mother, who was strapped with bombs, and laughed maniacally. Because the blood and flesh of this loving mother. His eyes widened like a demon's. Blaster's terrifying scream made the child unable to bear it, and he burst into tears. "Will explode along with magnificent fireworks." He stood up, hugged himself, and laughed out loud. "I'm starting to tremble with this indescribable excitement." Then Blaster reached out toward the terrified mother beside him and threatened, "Should we start with the arms, and then the legs? Since I have to keep your head as a souvenir, your chest and neck will be the last parts." Suddenly, the entire building lost power and plunged into pitch darkness. Blaster's eyes flashed with a vicious glint. He suddenly cracked an eerie smile. Blaster looked outside and mocked. "I think we have a guest. Welcome." Blaster had planted a bunch of bombs on the stairs leading up. "No need to be shy. Come on up." His hand had already accumulated a significant amount of electricity as he provoked, "Show your face." The other person quickly replied, "Sure." Suddenly, from behind Blaster, Genghis smashed through the glass door and charged inside. Blaster didn't have time to react, turning his head with wide eyes. Immediately, a heavy punch landed squarely in the middle of his face. The force of the punch threw Blaster off balance, sending him flying a great distance. Everything turned into a chaotic mess with dust flying everywhere. Gangu's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he glared at him. Then he turned to Moros and asked, "How are the hostages?" It quickly reported the situation. "They're both fine." Suddenly, the situation changed again. Looking down at the bomb attached to his stomach, Moros panicked and yelled, "Cashin, your body." The bomb on his body began to shake violently. The tied-up mother and child were also stunned, their eyes wide open. Moros also widened its eyes in fear. Genga quickly jumped up. He tried to get as far away from the mother and child as possible. Genga finally made it out of the building. Right after, the bomb exploded. The sound echoed everywhere. The civilians below witnessed the scene and screamed in terror. "Something just exploded. When are the police getting here? What about the psychers?" At the same time, inside the building, rocks and debris cracked and flew everywhere. The glass windows inside also shattered completely from the massive shockwave. Blaster, furious and trembling all over, walked toward the outside. He smirked, highly amused, coming in without even knocking. Blaster got even more excited and wiped the corner of his mouth. Who is this bastard? But he's definitely not a polite, civilized citizen. He looked down at the torn teddy bears and sighed. I could have played with more fireworks, but it's a pity he went to the afterlife so soon. Right after, Blaster shifted his attention back to the hostages beside him. But that's okay, because here tonight, he created an explosive orb in his hand and laughed loudly. You two are the main attraction. Blaster raised his hand, ready to throw the destructive bomb down. Suddenly, a massive slash struck, sending blood splattering everywhere. Blaster's arm seemed to have been chopped off. The bomb fell to the floor. He clutched his arm, screaming in agony. A massive surge of energy approached from behind him again. Blaster quickly reacted, turning his head and gritting his teeth in anger. Gangu powerfully punched him head-on, just like the first time. Dust flew up, completely obscuring their vision. Blaster lay on the floor in pain, grinding his teeth. His hand still held a residual electric charge. Right after, Gangu quickly stepped forward and grabbed his wrist. I knew it. His entire body was covered in armor without a single scratch. Gangu raised his hand, threatening to punch down. You think I'd fall for your cheap trick twice? Then he poured all his anger into a heavy punch that smashed into his face, yelling, Die, you son of a bitch. A barrage of punches rained down continuously. Blaster's face seemed almost deformed. Gangu kept punching him relentlessly. It seemed he could no longer control himself. Gangu turned into a demon, flashing a disdainful smile as he kept attacking. More. Moros kept yelling, Cashin. However, he continued to punch frantically without stopping. Moros widened its eyes, desperately calling out, Cashin. Gangu finally stopped. His eyes were stunned when he heard Moros continuously calling him. You finally listened to me. Gangu stared in shock, clenching his fists. Looking down at Blaster lying motionless in front of him, he blamed himself. Damn it. What the hell? Gangu couldn't believe it as he looked at his bloodstained hands. Did I just? Moros quickly explained it to him. You were just in an uncontrollable state of frenzy. Gangu listened in shock. Your emotions were clouded by darkness, and it overrode your motives. It thought of Blaster's terrifying state and explained to him, if you don't regain your emotions, you'll become a lunatic who only cares about satisfying your own desires. Suddenly, Gangu yelled in frustration, Enough! Gangu held his face helplessly. Damn it! He gritted his teeth, not knowing what to do. Moros hurriedly asked, Are you okay? The explosion earlier. However, he quickly stood up. I'm fine. I have to take care of the hostages first. The floor was covered in rubble and debris. Gangu approached the mother and child tied to the chairs. He stared at them in confusion for a long time. Seeing him approach, the mother and child were terrified and trembled uncontrollably. The police finally arrived below the building. Blaster's body was discovered and taken away. Dawon was nearby, making a phone call to report the situation. Yes, the mother and child taken hostage are both safe. He continuously exchanged information with the person on the other end. We should observe further, but as of now, it has appeared. A turf war between villains. While he was discussing, Yukin picked up a teddy bear to examine it. According to witness statements, it was an unidentified villain. He stayed silent for a long time, lost in thought. Looking at the torn teddy bear in his hand, Yukin felt a bit annoyed. Kidnapping a child. They said a villain saved the hostages. His eyebrows furrowed slightly. Only death is fitting for those villains. Suddenly, a curious voice nearby rang out. They said the hostages were saved by a villain? Two police officers discussed it openly. Man, even though I heard it with my own ears, it still sounds so fake. There were a lot of witnesses who saw it. Seeing this, Yukin stepped forward and instructed, Sorry to interrupt, but please don't disclose what you just talked about to anyone. Before he could finish, someone approached from behind and called him. Yukin. Dawon, still holding his phone, gave Yukin an order. Go secure the CCTV footage in the staff room on the first floor. I'll be there in a bit. He quickly stood up and accepted the order. Understood. Yukin's eyes fell on the teddy bear in his hand once again. Then he bluntly threw it onto the messy floor beside him. The pitch-black sky covered the entire city. Gangu stood under a streetlight, looking up. The terrified, tearful faces of the mother and child consumed his mind. Please save us. Please. Please. Genghis sat on a bench, sighing in heartbreak. Seeing him upset, Moros approached and asked, "What's bothering you?" Gengu helplessly held his head and explained, "If it weren't for your help." Everything seemed very awkward for Gengu. "I would have become a lunatic like that bastard earlier." Moros agreed with that. True. That was a close call. He leaned his head back against the bench tiredly, looking up at the sky. "I am a villain." Suddenly, the phone next to him rang. Gengu quickly picked it up to check. Moros curiously leaned in. "Who is it?" After checking, he quickly answered, "Gengu's sister. She said dinner is ready. I should go home early to eat." It continued to probe. "So you're going back to that house?" Gengu froze, not knowing how to handle it. The scene shifted to a high-rise building. In the staff room, Dawon leaned over to look and made a confused sound. He watched the playback on the screen and wondered, who the hell is he? It was the footage of Gengu rescuing the hostages. Dawon was a bit skeptical. Is there something wrong with my eyes? The person next to him quickly reminded him, whether you believe it or not, he's the one who saved the hostages. Dawon became intrigued, turning to ask Yukin, "This isn't some hidden camera prank show, right?" Hearing this, he didn't know how to answer. The scene shifted back to the apartment complex. Inside room 701. Gengu stood frozen in front of a table full of food. He leaned down and picked up the sticky note on the table to read. On it were some instructions. Heat up the rice, put the stew in the microwave, and eat up. I bought some fruit and left it in the fridge. Yuri playfully drew a picture of herself on the note. I cooked a really delicious meal today. From your cutest, prettiest older sister in the world. That reminded Gengu of his own past. He was being scolded. Kashin, are you late for dinner again? Gengu lowered his head sadly. I'm sorry. I was too busy playing. The woman turned away without hesitation. There is no food for people who can't be on time. Suddenly, someone handed him a loaf of bread. After realizing it was Jeff, Gengu cheered excitedly. Brother. He quickly put a finger to his lips and warned, eat it quickly before the director finds out. Hearing this, Gengu happily munched on the bread. Returning to reality, he stared blankly at the note. The food on the table had been heated up and was steaming. Gengu sat properly at the dining table. He reached out and scooped up a large spoonful of soup. Gengu slowly put it in his mouth to taste it, then exclaimed, so good. As he ate, he remembered the scene from years ago when he and Jeff shared a meal. It's been a long time since I've eaten food prepared by someone else. Gengu's back looked a bit lonely as he spoke up. Thanks for the meal. Dawn at the high-rise apartment. Sunlight shone through the window, casting light onto the bed. It was 7:50 a.m. Gengu slowly opened his eyes. He lay on the bed, his eyes showing clear signs of deep thought. The bathroom door opened. Toiletries were neatly arranged. He stood in front of the mirror, brushing his teeth. I am not me. Gengu looked at himself in the mirror and frowned slightly. I can't believe I'm living someone else's life. He rinsed his mouth while grumbling inwardly. I thought if I slept, I'd feel better when I woke up. But it didn't help at all. While he was lost in thought, I wish I could go back to the past. Moros suddenly flashed brightly. It popped out of the necklace on Gengu's neck and greeted him. Good morning, Kashin. He sighed helplessly and replied. That's a creepy way to say good morning. Better not to say it at all. Then Gengu quickly put on his shoes. Just as he was about to leave the house, a voice called out, Are you heading to school? Yuri rubbed her eyes and walked out lazily. Her voice carried a hint of reproach. If you're leaving, you should at least say goodbye to me. Kwan Yuri, Kwan Gengu's older sister. He looked at her and cursed inwardly. Motherfucker. Yuri rubbed her eyes again and asked, What about breakfast? He replied wearily, I ate. Deep down, Gengu felt incredibly helpless. Seeing this sister like this makes me so damn awkward. He thought seriously, should I just tell her straight up that I'm not her brother? Yuri finished asking and started rummaging through her pockets. All right. She held out a card. Here's the debit card we talked about. Gengu looked bewildered but still reached out to take it. I put your allowance in here, so spend it carefully. He thought to himself, where did she pull this debit card from? He held the card and stared blankly for a long time. Gengu remembered a few days ago. Yuri was sitting on the sofa watching a movie when she heard Gengu call out. So she looked up. Hey sis. Standing in front of her, he nervously intertwined his fingers and asked softly, "Can I get next month's allowance in advance?" Yuri looked quite surprised and asked back, "But I just gave you your allowance last week." He quickly explained, "Actually, Gangu remembered being extorted by Kihun and his gang a few days prior." The blonde guy snatched his card and said arrogantly, "Let me borrow some money. Just 100,000 won, okay?" He decided to hide that fact and made up an excuse. "I lost my wallet." Yuri put the remote down. "All right." She turned to Gangu and said, "I'll give it to you since you asked so politely." He was a bit surprised but quickly felt happy. "Awesome. Thanks, sis." Yuri winked and smiled. "Also, I'll make a bank card for you to use." Hearing this, he looked confused. A bank card? Back in the present, Gangu, knowing the past, looked at the card in his hand. "I get it now." Then he quickly left, not forgetting to say thanks. His voice sounded awkward. "Thanks, sis. I'll use this card carefully." Yuri saw him off. "All right. Have a safe trip." Right after, she suddenly called Ganga back. "Wait, Gangu." Yuri looked her brother up and down and said, "You look a bit different today." He froze as if caught red-handed. Gangu turned around, rubbed his neck, and replied, "I changed my hairstyle." Her eyes showed clear joy. "Oh, Quan Gangu, you look more like a normal person now." Yuri complained a bit. "But you didn't cut your hair like I suggested?" He replied helplessly, "I just changed the way I comb it." She watched him walk away and teased, "Do you have a girlfriend, young man?" Ganga didn't seem to care, quickly striding away and waving goodbye. "I'm off to school." In front of the school gates, the lively chatter of students filled the air. Everywhere in Gangu's classroom, whispers and gossip echoed. The girls couldn't help but turn around to look. "What's wrong with him? He looks like he just got beat up." The boys were also gossiping, glancing over constantly. "I wonder who the master is. Is it that loser? Who knows?" Amidst the whispers of, "It's that loser," and "Look at his face," the blonde thug, who was currently the center of attention, frowned and bit his lip in anger. He turned around in frustration, glaring at the gossiping crowd. "Huh?" The students immediately fell silent and looked away. He yelled angrily, scaring the crowd. "What the fuck are you looking at? You bitches. What do you want? You want to die? I'll gouge your eyes out." Remembering the scene of being tortured by Gangu the other day, the blonde guy gritted his teeth and cursed inwardly. It's all that bastard's fault. Just then, a hand lightly touched his shoulder. He turned around with an extremely annoyed look. "What the fuck now?" Gangu stood towering in front of him, leaving the blonde guy too shocked to close his mouth. His voice dropped low as he asked, "Where's my seat?" His eyes filled with absolute terror, sweating profusely. The blonde guy lowered his head and pointed forward, whispering, "Huh? Up there." The students looked at Gangu in shock. "Is that Quan Gangu?" They stared with their mouths wide open as he walked to his seat. "Is that really Quan Gangu?" Gangu tossed his bag on the desk and plopped down. Moros turned to look at the blonde guy, then said to him, "Do you feel that death glare? He's staring daggers at you." The guy sitting behind him couldn't help but grip his hands tightly, trembling. "That bastard." At that moment, the students started gossiping loudly again. Someone suddenly raised their voice. "A villain turf war? No way. Right in this area?" Another guy tried hard to explain. "I saw it with my own eyes. That villain was really fighting. If I'm lying, I'm a dog." "Holy shit." Exclamations rang out. "Really? That's insane." Moros looked at them and said, "Looks like they're talking about you." Ganga held his phone silently, saying nothing. The freckled guy's face turned fearful. "Damn, that sounds scary." The guy with glasses chimed in. "You know what? There's also a serial murder case." The other guy kept going. "I heard a girl from our school was a victim." The freckled guy turned pale and shuddered. "I saw on the news, they chopped off all the limbs and drained all the blood. This must definitely be the work of villains." Hearing this, Ganga glanced up. "You know what? I heard this was done by a villain named Screw." They exclaimed in surprise. "Really? But Screw is the boss of the villain autonomous zone in Garm District, right?" He pondered deeply. "There's a villain autonomous zone in Garm District?" The noisy chatter continued endlessly. "Did you guys hear about that?" "About what?" One guy in the group slowly recounted the scene of Screw holding a giant screwdriver amidst a bloody background. "I heard that Screw guy conducts some kind of human experiments. Fuck, that guy must be crazy. Damn it, They whispered to each other. Sounds disgusting. One guy cursed. Fuck. I just wish those rotten villains would go straight to hell. In a hidden corner of the schoolyard, Taegu laughed loudly. Oof, that's fucking hilarious. Ki-hun held a cigarette and warned, Guk Taegu, watch your mouth. He also held a cigarette, trying to hold back his laughter. Getting your ass handed to you by a loser. Must be hard to move around now, huh? He immediately yelled in anger. Are you gonna shut up, or what? Taegu still chuckled and waved his hand. All right. I was just joking around. He dropped his cigarette on the ground. His face turned serious. So you mean we should team up and kill that guy? A wad of cash was held out. I can't just sit around and take this humiliation. Ki-hun said determinedly. I'll pay you handsomely. Taegu took the money, then turned to look at his lackey and chuckled. The guy with glasses looked at the guys bowing their heads in submission and thought to himself, Guk Taegu. He's childhood friends with Ki-hun. But, he shuddered slightly. I don't want to get involved with that bastard. Taegu saw the money in his pocket and couldn't stop smiling. You're pretty generous. He nudged Ki-hun's shoulder and teased. What are friends for, right? Didn't you take a hit for me, and I paid you back? His eyes were filled with savagery. Just say the word, bro. Should I break his arms and legs, or just kill him? After school, the lively sounds of laughter and chatter echoed through the hallways along Ganga's path. School's out. Let's go home. Want to go to karaoke? What about cram school? Gangu turned his head at the call. Wait. You can walk toward him. He asked, Sorry, I don't know your name. How's your wound? Ganga pointed at the band-aid on his face. He looked at him coldly. See for yourself. Moros looked at him in surprise. Earlier in the restroom, it watched him put the band-aid on himself. Moros was very confused. The wound is healed. Why are you still bandaging it? Ganga mentioned Yukin defensively. If I happen to run into him again, he'll find it suspicious. Moros recalled this and thought in admiration. This kid thinks pretty far ahead. Now, Gangu asked him back, what do you want? Are you planning to pay my medical bills? Yukin glanced at the figures hiding and watching them. Then he immediately replied to him, besides the medical bills, is there anything else you want me to do for you? Gangu's smile exuded contempt. He turned and walked away indifferently. Forget it. Yukin still called out, what's your name? Gangu waved his hand and replied, Quan Gangu. His face showed a hint of contemplation. Quan Gangu. By now, he had walked out of the school. The front gate was still filled with lively chatter. See you later. I don't want to go to cram school. Gangu frowned again. So annoying. Moros turned to look at him. Is that psyker kid making you nervous? Seeing no response, it helplessly answered itself. No answer means yes. Gangu finally spoke up. That kid's name is Kim Yukin. He possesses fire abilities. He started talking about Yukin. That kid's bright appearance could put any idol to shame. Good grades, good conduct. With his sense of justice, he won't let any bad guy off the hook. He's the newest superstar among the psychers. Moro stayed silent in surprise. He continued, that's what the internet says about him. It teased him. He's a guy who is everything. So are you jealous? Gangu ignored the teasing and kept talking. His ideal role model is someone with similar abilities. He suddenly mentioned his past self. High-ranking psycher, Cashin Lee. Moros asked in surprise, you're that kid's ideal role model? Gangu sighed softly. What is a rising star from the Psyker Academy like him doing at a normal high school like this? At that moment, Moros suddenly turned around, noticing the figures still sneaking around and watching them. The thugs were still sneaking around and spying. Its eyes instantly turned disdainful. These stupid, predictable kids. At that moment, a voice from the other end of the line rang out. How are things going? The blonde thug gritted his teeth and replied, we're tailing him closely. No problems. I'll keep in touch. On the school rooftop, Taegu held a cigarette and walked over to Ki-hun, asking, what did he say? He smiled at his phone and replied, he said he's tailing that loser. At least he's useful for once. Taegu threw his cigarette away and said aggressively, then let's move. What are we waiting for? He led his lackeys and Ki-hun, marching off with burning fighting spirit. Let's go. The thugs followed Gangu through the buildings. Crossing a deserted neighborhood, footsteps quicken. The blonde guy watches him turn into an empty alley and curses under his breath. He grits his teeth, fear evident in his thoughts. What the hell is that bastard doing here? Damn it. This road leads to the villain's territory. Suddenly, someone shouts from behind the blonde guy. Panicking, he clutches his chest, panting, and turns to glare at Daegu reproachfully. You scared the crap out of me. Unfazed, Daegu replies with a challenging attitude. What? My heart almost jumped out of my chest too. Daegu looks at the blonde guy with a savage grin. You got a problem with that? Flustered, he waves his hands. No, I mean. Hee-hoon finally speaks up. Where's that loser? The blonde guy looks at him and points ahead. Over there. He turns his head to look, but Kong-woo is nowhere to be seen. Hee-hoon asks suspiciously. There's no one there. The blonde guy replies in shock. He was just there a second ago. Suddenly, the guy with glasses yells, he went into the alley. Everyone except the blonde guy excitedly runs after him. Hurry, catch him before he gets away. He frantically tries to stop them, but it's too late. Wait, that's the villain's territory. His face is now full of terror. He grits his teeth and curses inwardly. In the end, the blonde guy chooses to run after them. Wait for me. The gang of thugs arrives at an abandoned apartment building. The surrounding atmosphere is hazy and eerie. Daegu reaches the far corner and asks in frustration, what the hell is this place? It's a dead end. Hee-hoon emphasizes, turning to look at the guy with glasses. Are you sure he ran this way? He stammers in confusion. Daegu immediately curses, damn it. In a fit of rage, he kicks and breaks an iron bar on the ground. Are you guys messing with me? The glasses guy's eyes immediately show extreme fear. Daegu steps closer, his tone full of challenge. Are you punks taking turns making a fool out of me? Just as the glasses guy is trembling like he's about to faint, a voice rings out from behind. Looking for me? The thugs look at Kong-woo in surprise. He walks over with an imposing aura. If you're looking for me, you've come to the right place. At this moment, the incident between Kong-woo and the thugs is being recorded by a camera. He glances at the camera. It's still recording everything. Through the screen, he can be seen smiling faintly. A humming voice echoes in the monitoring room. He taps a screwdriver on the desk. Strel rests his feet on the table. Resting his chin on his hand, he watches the screen with amusement. He smiles. Looks like we have a visitor. A dilapidated apartment building stands against the clear blue sky. The dark windows and peeling walls make the scene feel suffocating. Kong-woo appears with cold eyes and an expressionless face. The aura he exudes makes people wary. A group of thugs blocks Kong-woo's path. Daegu smirks and says bluntly, this fucker actually surprised me. Another guy sneers and mocks. Look at that stupid face, he's probably lost all sense of self-defense, huh? Leaning forward, eyes full of mockery. Are you acting tough? Kong-woo doesn't reply. His eyes are filled with a sharp, terrifyingly calm, murderous intent. Suddenly, Daegu bursts out laughing, his face flushed. Ha, damn it. Look at the way he's looking at us. He glares, holding up 3 fingers threateningly. I'll give you 3 seconds. His bloodshot eyes and ferocious expression make it clear he's not joking. Daegu continues to threaten. If you don't want to meet your maker, get on your knees. Kong-woo's eyes are sharp and unmoving, deep as if silently crushing his opponent. Daegu clenches his fists, eyes bloodshot. His breathing quickens, his voice heavy. 2. Kong-woo still stands tall, his gaze unwavering. He growls the last word forcefully. The atmosphere instantly explodes. The thugs behind him are stunned, their eyes showing extreme panic. Daegu roars in fury, unable to hold back anymore. You son of a bitch. You must be itching for a beating, huh? Kong-woo doesn't step back, his eyes calm but sharp as a knife. You can't even throw a punch, can you? Daegu screams in anger and pain. Motherfucker. Kong-woo strikes with lightning speed, hooking his fingers straight into his opponent's eyes without warning. Before he can react, his body instinctively jerks back, howling madly. Arg! My eyes! Instantly, a strong hand grabs Daegu's hair. The grip is extremely brutal and decisive, showing absolute dominance. Right after grabbing his hair, Kong-woo smashes his head into the ground with extreme force. After the heavy impact, Daegu's eyes roll back. He completely loses control, as if his soul was just knocked out of his body, unable to make a sound. Hee-hoon stands behind, utterly terrified. Eyes wide, sweating profusely, he steps back on reflex. He was slammed so hard his head crashed into the wall. Blood stains the cracks. His body collapses, arms hanging loose, eyes shut tight, in unconsciousness. Kong Wu coldly looks at the rest of the group, his eyes indifferent and bored. Why are you guys still showing your faces? You're no different from a bunch of brainless idiots with overgrown limbs. Ki-hoon's eyes widen, his mouth agape in shock, while the other guy grits his teeth in anger, veins popping on his neck. You motherfucker. Jong-sung's face turns beet red. His forehead wrinkles as he charges forward like a raging storm, roaring, "You son of a bitch." He plants his feet firmly, throwing his whole body into a punch as heavy as a hammer. Kong Wu leans slightly, effortlessly dodging it, leaving the punch to hit empty air. Jong-sung glares angrily, throwing another punch with all his might. He grits his teeth, attacking Kong Wu directly, his eyes bulging with resentment. He leans to dodge the punch by a hair's breadth, his cold eyes emitting a sharp glint. Before Jong-sung can react, his eyes suddenly widen in panic as he realizes the incoming danger. Kong Wu accelerates, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. He pivots on his right foot, delivering a hook kick straight at him. Before Jong-sung can turn, he takes the hit, his face contorting in pain. The force of the impact makes the floor tremble. He is taken down, his entire body slamming hard against the floor, creating a loud thud and a cloud of dust. Jong-sung is in agony, his face grimacing, eyes shut tight as he groans. He stands right behind, casting a long shadow, ready for the next strike. I thought about going easy on you guys, but you really know how to make someone's blood boil. A piercing scream echoes through the dark space, highlighting the disparity in strength. Kong Wu stands there, his eyes calm but cold, as if he just taught someone a lesson without breaking a sweat. He turns his head, his eyes sharp and devoid of emotion, as if evaluating how to deal with the remaining one. The thugs above are frozen, unable to process what just happened. Kong Wu looks up, his gaze direct, his contemptuous voice echoing in the night. Are you guys just gonna stand there and watch? He widens his eyes, his face showing clear shock and startlement. His eyebrows furrow slightly upon hearing the sound. Motherfucker. Daegu struggles to get up, trembling, trying to suppress the pain as he lets out a sound. Crack. Daegu suddenly looks up, his eyes blood red, clutching half his face as if trying to hold back his madness. Go to hell, you son of a bitch. He tilts his head slightly, watching his opponent roar, completely unfazed. He just thinks to himself, did I go too easy on him? Daegu starts getting into a fighting stance. He raises his fists, clenching them tight. His movements show that his combat experience is nothing to scoff at. Daegu's face hardens, his eyes sharp as knives. His whole body springs up powerfully in a high kick, fast and strong, as if confirming his rank. National High School Muay Thai runner-up. Ki-hoon's eyes sharpen, his gaze fierce. The corner of his mouth lifts into a smug smile as he shouts, he's finally using his Muay Thai? You're dead meat now, kid. The two thugs behind him widen their eyes, their faces full of confusion and unconcealed shock. Daegu stands opposite, his back slightly hunched, as if at a disadvantage. Facing him is Kong Wu, cold with a gaze that cuts like a knife, his posture calm, but carrying an overwhelming aura. A modern martial arts gym, fully equipped with punching bags. Everyone is training hard. The fitness area has treadmills, dumbbells, and bench presses. John Klaus appears like a living embodiment of rage, throwing a powerful punch at Cashin. Two young men lean against the boxing ring ropes, their eyes full of amusement and their faces brimming with mockery. Take it easy, man. Watch out for the poor kid. That guy is really enjoying it, haha. Amidst their laughter, a voice rings out from behind, startling them. What are you guys doing? They look surprised. Jack, you're here? You're a bit late. From the opposite side, Jack approaches, his face stern and expressionless as he questions them. I asked what you're doing here. One of the two guys doesn't hesitate to reply mockingly, pointing into the ring. The rookie is getting a lesson under the guise of training. Jack suddenly stops, his eyebrows furrowing slightly, his eyes narrowing as if he just realized something. John Klaus suddenly lunges forward, throwing an extremely powerful punch at him. The sound echoes throughout the gym. Jack doesn't take his eyes off him and speaks slowly. Why isn't he wearing protective gear? The blonde guy standing nearby hears this and bursts out laughing, his tone full of mockery. Our lovely rookie said he didn't need it. He maintains his stern expression without changing color. I'm not talking about the rookie. I'm talking about John. The blonde guy freezes. Whoosh. Cashin Lee tilts his head, dodging the punch as if he had predicted its path, his eyes cold. Jack talks about him with a firm voice, a mix of admiration and wariness. Cashin Lee. That kid graduated from PCTA. He's the youngest to graduate at the top of his class. They can't hide their confusion, exclaiming in shock. Graduated at the top of his class. Jack continues his analysis, his tone decisive. He specializes in close combat. There's no record of him ever losing a one-on-one match. Immediately after, the two guys opposite show clear shock, their faces turning pale, sweating profusely. The blonde guy stammers in response. Close combat. I thought his skill was fire manipulation. Isn't he a mage class? A sonic boom tears through the air. Everyone looks up at once. Cashin throws an extremely powerful right hook, his eyes cold. The impact is so strong it creates a shockwave in the air. Back to reality. Daegu takes a direct hit, thrown backward by the terrifying force. Kong Wu stands tall on the shattered stone floor, his shadow falling over the unconscious Daegu at his feet. Kong Wu's cold gaze leaves the thugs bowing their heads in fear. Daegu is slumped on the floor, hands on the ground trying to force himself up, his eyes full of panic and pain as he groans. Kong Wu grips Daegu's face tightly with one hand. His hand squeezes so hard it distorts and deforms his face. Kong Wu is in his villain form, his eyes blood red, his face partially obscured by shadows. His hand grips Daegu's face, lifting his entire body off the ground. The thugs are terrified by Kong Wu's overwhelming aura. He looks at them like he's looking at bugs. You pathetic little punks. You run wild because no one has put you in your place. Kong Wu's eyes are sharp, glowing amber, clearly showing his alertness and danger. If you ran into a stronger enemy, you petty thugs wouldn't even dare to make a move, would you? An imagined scene appears in Kong Wu's mind. 3 powerful, imposing enemies. That's right, even those bastards. If I had been stronger back then. Heartbreaking memories pierce straight through his heart. Me and Jeff, and Kong Wu too. We could have escaped that damn fate. I will definitely become stronger. The dark night envelopes Kong Wu's face, revealing an iron will and deep hatred. I need to become invincible. Enough to make Lampa tremble in fear. Hee-hoon's face is full of fear, sweating profusely as he screams. Damn it. Run. They are anxious, wanting to retreat safely. Just as he's about to speak, he's interrupted. We need to get out of here, so we can. Kong Wu looks at the thugs with cold eyes. Immediately after, a terrified scream rings out. They show sudden shock. A villain. A drill hovers in midair. Strel floats in an arrogant posture, his messy hair fluttering in the energy radiating from his body. He crosses his arms over his chest, his face completely devoid of emotion, as if this appearance is just a pastime. Seeing the figure flying over the roof of the high-rise building, they all immediately recognize who it is. Strel. He flashes his usual smug smile. Hee-hoon turns pale with fear, his whole body trembling. Then the whole gang of thugs scrambles away, disappearing from sight. Holy shit. None of them care about Kong Wu anymore. Don't leave me behind, bestie. He glares, probing Strel. He doesn't make any significant moves. Moros calls out loudly. Cashin. Kong Wu ponders for a moment. He wonders to himself, is that screwdriver bastard? Strel jumps down in front of the two of them. Isn't this fun? He carries the giant screwdriver on his shoulder. Strel casually asks, I thought I could lend a hand, but it looks like I misjudged the situation, huh? Kong Wu is on guard. I don't remember asking for your help. He smirks. Strel cheerfully asks, that won't do. Don't you know who I am? He replies bluntly, the guy riding a screwdriver. He swings the weapon in his hand. To see this and not even get a little reaction out of you, my pride is deeply hurt. The tip of the screwdriver lights up like a cannon, surging with overwhelming power as if wanting to tear the air in front of Kong Wu apart. He looks at it calmly. Strel speaks up. If you've come to Villezone. He sneers. You must know what's waiting for you, right? The tip of the screwdriver glows brightly, ready to shoot straight at Kong Wu. And boom, a giant rose appears. Kong Wu and Moros are stunned. Strel bursts out laughing. Weird, right? I'm just kidding. Just a joke. He lowers his voice, asserting seriously. The next one will be the real deal, you worthless idiot. He doesn't even bother showing fear or anything similar, just stands there staring. Then Kong Wu turns his back and walks straight away. Strel calls out loudly, "Oi, where are you going?" Kong Wu replies curtly, "Home." He stands frozen there, doubtful. Did I just get ignored? He strolls through the empty alleys. Moro speaks up, "Cashin, that was really dangerous just now." It asserts, "That screwdriver guy, you can't beat him right now." Moro's is very tense. According to my calculations, his magical power is no less than. But Kong Wu doesn't seem to be listening. It asks in surprise, "Cashin?" Moro's watches him questioningly. Kong Wu leans against the wall, sighing in frustration. It assumes, did that encounter really affect him? Moro's comforts him. "If you start training now, you might be able to face him someday." He asks, "Moro's, can you use your appraisal eye on him?" It is shocked. What? Electricity starts running along Kong Wu's body. This is a perfect opportunity to fight a strong opponent. He continues, "I think you'll absorb this best." The intense pressure forces Moro's to step back. When you put your life on the line and step into a real battle, Kong Wu trembles with excitement. I can't let such a great opportunity slip right past my eyes. At the same time, amidst the empty streets, Strel swings his legs back and forth. He wonders to himself, did he do this? Strel is curious. That guy. His movements aren't normal at all. Who is he? He visualizes Kong Wu's indifferent expression, standing right in front of me, and he didn't even bother to tremble in fear. Strel sighs in admiration. High school kids these days are really scary. Someone is approaching him. Strel quickly senses the danger. The moment he turns around, he is already very close to him. Strel is momentarily startled and panicked. Kong Wu throws a devastating punch. He is pushed back several meters despite trying to use friction to stop. He doesn't give Strel a moment to rest. Kong Wu moves at a speed hard for the naked eye to follow. He uses Shadow Mirror to attack, with terrifying power, but he manages to dodge it. The distance between the two quickly widens. Kong Wu clicks his tongue. Just as expected, he's a tough one. Around Strel, blue streaks appear as if gravity is being manipulated. The small screwdriver in his hand spins. Then it enlarges in the blink of an eye, summoning a weapon. Moro's has to shout a warning. The screwdriver aims straight at his head like a cannon. That thing is no joke. Strel suddenly speaks up. You know what? The magical energy grows larger and larger. He sneers. I think I should return the favor, shouldn't I? Kong Wu is startled and terrified. With an obnoxious smile on his lips, Strel launches his attack. A massive drill beam shoots straight toward him. An entire block is engulfed in blinding light. The destructive power is too immense. Strel unleashes a drill beam with extreme damage and a wide area of effect equivalent to a whole street. This huge commotion attracts the attention of quite a few figures. Among them, Red Eye, not far away, also looks curiously toward the battle. Black Hound, who is in the middle of something, also has to stop. What the? After the dust and shock waves settle a bit, he looks down in slight surprise. Kong Wu has erected a solid defense that blocked most of the damage. He still stands firm after that drill beam. Earlier, Moro's had warned him. His mana exceeds 1,000. It scans Strel's stats. That means it's 3 times yours. The information panel clearly states, Villain Identity, Strel. Trait, Awakened Villain. Attribute, Mechanical. Awakening Activation, Search. Main skill, 1-inch drill smash, drill beam, drill formation. Mana, 1100. Kong Wu just hums, deep in thought. Moro's asks impatiently, Are you even listening to me? He drops a short sentence. This fight is going to be fun. It widens its eyes in shock. Where do you get that confidence from? Strel laughs with interest. Blocking me, you're pretty good. He swings the screwdriver. Was I too easy on you? Utilizing gravity and altitude, Strel dives straight down and shouts, Let's go again. Kong Wu calculates with extreme caution. He decides to jump back to dodge the attack. The road surface is torn apart, debris scattering in the air. While Kong Wu still hasn't landed, he launches another attack. Consecutive swings are all dodged. Strel starts getting tense. His attacks are clearly more rushed than before. This bastard. He keeps swinging the screwdriver at empty air. No way. Is he predicting my movements? Who the hell is this guy? Strel is certain that if he had this skill, there's no way he wouldn't have heard of him. As he fights, he realizes his mind seems pretty sharp. Is this the guy who took down Blaster? This time, Kong-woo doesn't dodge anymore, but uses his bare hands to block the attack. He is startled in shock. Before Strel can react, his screwdriver is crushed by him. Kong-woo feels the air suddenly become very heavy. The eyes behind his goggles light up. Strel shoots a beam of energy from his eyes, leaving him no time to dodge. Kong-woo quickly kicks him. Strel loses his footing and tumbles. He tries to maneuver to regain his balance. Damn it, motherfucker. But he doesn't hesitate to rush in and continue attacking. Strel yells, "Are you a martial arts master?" Strel rolls a few times and quickly gets into a stance. He focuses his energy and creates an arm gauntlet. Magic circles spin around his arm, carrying terrifying power. Mechanical arm. The punch is about to collide with Kong-woo, but he shows no sign of dodging, even preparing to counterattack. Kong-woo strikes out with countless sharp spikes. All of them hit the mechanical arm. Cracks quickly appear on it, and its speed decreases. Strel is extremely shocked. He couldn't stop him. Kong-woo punches Strel straight in the face. He is sent flying several meters away. Strel grits his teeth. He's not joking. It feels like his fighting style is a bit unusual. He seriously evaluates his current opponent. He can't fight this well unless he's been professionally trained. Suddenly, someone interrupts the battle. "There you are. What are you doing, you idiot?" Moros and Kong-woo both stop to assess the situation. Two figures appear next to Strel. One is the villain, Crow. Profile, skill, darkness. The other is the villain, Black Hound. Shooter, skill, drill. That's not all. Red Eye also comes to watch the drama. He mocks. "Why is this taking so long? Aren't you going too easy on him?" This is villain, Black Hound. Trait, Hound. Kong-woo is surrounded by 4 villains. He laughs contemptuously. "Calling your lackeys because you'd lose miserably in a one-on-one, huh?" Black Hound is surprised. "Boss? Lose miserably?" Strel denies it. "That's not true. I haven't been defeated yet." She mocks. "Looks like you really got taken down, huh?" He has to explain himself again. "Let me repeat. I haven't lost yet." Black Hound is stunned. Taken down. He stares at Kong-woo. "Beaten by this noob? The screwdriver?" Strel asks, "By the way, why did you attack me in the first place?" The other villains are also eager to know the answer. He replies, "Because I want to fight the strong." Kong-woo looks at them coldly. "Besides, I can't just let a murderer keep killing indiscriminately." Moros is terrified hearing this. He tilts his head in confusion. Strel is bewildered. "Killing indiscriminately? Are you talking about that notorious serial killer?" Crow nods in agreement. "Taking that killer's head wouldn't be a bad idea, huh?" Red Eye is left speechless. He points at himself. "Are you saying I'm that killer?" She cheerfully confirms, "It's you." Strel casually scratches his face, feigning heartbreak. "I'm being falsely accused. Who knew people actually believed that fake rumor?" Blackhound's eyes widen. Who was he to act so tough in front of Strel like that? He's burning with jealousy. "Right now, I want to crush him." Strel asserts seriously, "I'll get straight to the point. I'm not the killer you're looking for." He questions, "Do you have proof?" After a moment of silence, he answers. Kong-woo continues, "So that means you could be the—" A chill runs down his spine as if enveloped by darkness, making him stop. Blackhound glares. Right at this moment, he madly charges forward to attack. "I'll send you to the afterlife, you arrogant brat." 2 giant fists surging with energy instantly appear. He unleashes the move he's most confident in. Die. Blackhound's eyes are fiercely locked onto Kong-woo's figure. Only one thought in his mind, die? He gathers his strength and slams down a resounding punch. It instantly bombards the ground. Kong-woo has already dodged it. He puts on a stern face and mocks. Exactly what a filthy, evil villain would do, huh? His reaction is so fast that Blackhound's eyes widen in shock. Kong-woo maintains that cold expression. "You germ, you specialize in stabbing people in the back, don't you?" Blackhound is stung by his mockery and gets furious, turning around to roar and raise his fist. A powerful punch, but it only hits empty air. Kong-woo uses his agile footwork to instantly leap to his side and get into an attacking stance. This is a correctional measure. He delivers a perfect knockout punch. Blackhound gets punched so hard his jaw dislocates. "For scumbags like you." Crow rests her chin on her hand and whistles. Even Red Eye is surprised by this development. Strel stands nearby, burning with excitement and laughing out loud. Black Hound is punched flying far away. His pathetic state makes Strel click his tongue. Man. Red Eye runs over to check on Black Hound's condition and is also stunned. He's been knocked unconscious. He is completely shaken. Unbelievable. He took down the third-ranked guy in Villezone. On the other side, Moro sees Kong Wu holding his head and asks worriedly, "Are you okay?" The person opposite suddenly speaks. "Your head is spinning and you feel dizzy, right?" Strel leisurely observes Kong Wu. He gives a half smile and analyzes. "That's because your magical power doesn't exceed 300, and it spiked drastically in a short period of time." Crow ponders. Magical power is only 300? Red Eye finds it even harder to believe and blurts out an objection. If it's only 300, then he should be D-class. He looks suspiciously at Kong Wu. How is a lowly D-class thug so overpowered? Red Eye gradually calms down. He thinks to himself, that black cheese power exceeds even a B-class. How the hell did he take that guy down in one hit? Strel speaks calmly. No need to be so shocked. Although rare, a B-class can defeat an A-class. Red Eye gradually calms down. The other party nods to reassure him. Magical power alone doesn't determine the winner and loser. Strel reflects on all the previous events and calmly gives his assessment. He has incredible physical strength combined with agile footwork. Moreover, he possesses strange combat skills that exceed his capabilities. He pauses and looks straight at Kong Wu. The rest of his words are kept in his heart, unspoken. He is an exception. In mechanical terms, he's called a perfectly optimized high-end machine. Strel slowly twirls his giant screwdriver. He takes out a crystal and asks Kong Wu, "You know what this is, right?" Both Kong Wu and Moros are surprised. A magic crystal. Strel looks at his expression and then speaks leisurely. A villain can increase their magical power by undergoing intense training, and magic crystals achieve the same effect. As soon as he finishes speaking, he tosses the magic crystal to Kong Wu. He looks down at the item in his hand in disbelief. The other party just throws out a short sentence. "Eat it." Kong Wu asks suspiciously, "Why are you giving this to me?" Strel smiles and replies, "I want to make a deal." Hearing this, he directly refuses. Not interested. Strel acts as if he didn't hear and suddenly opens up. "I can't stand injustice. I'm talking about that indiscriminate killer. I was planning to ask you to collar him for me." He shows some sincerity. "I'm giving you the magic crystal as a gift for making the deal. Feel free to accept or reject it." Kong Wu looks at him sternly. "Sounds like you're saying you're not that killer, huh?" Strel laughs heartily. "That's exactly it. I'm so wrong." He laughs uncontrollably upon hearing the other party's question. "If you feel wronged, why don't you go find the culprit yourself?" Strel drops his playful demeanor and replies softly. "Everyone has their own difficult circumstances." Kong Wu stays silent, not saying a word. Strel displays a relaxed demeanor, unafraid of anything. The conversation ends just like that. The scene shifts to Kong Wu walking quietly on the street. He observes the magic crystal and mutters, "He wants me to eat this?" Moros provide some knowledge. There are two types of crystals. One found in nature, called gene crystal, and the other created by humans, called magic crystal. Of course, the difference between them is like night and day. It says this and sighs regretfully. It's a pity it's not a gene crystal, but even this will help you increase your magical power. Kong Wu pouts at it. "I already know that, Moros." It casually reminds him. "Moreover, you have to eat the magic crystal in your villain form." Kong Wu looks thoughtfully at the stone in his hand. A moment later, his hand transforms into its black chi form. Kong Wu follows Moros' instructions and switches to his villain form. He is still a bit doubtful. "Are you sure this is a magic crystal?" Moros gives a sound of confirmation. Kong Wu brings the magic crystal closer. Just as he is about to put it in his mouth, he mutters, "Jeff always warned me not to eat random things." And then Kong Wu swallows the magic crystal. He stands still, trying to feel the changes in his body. But after waiting a while and seeing nothing happen, Kong Wu immediately questions Moros. "Nothing's changed. I don't even feel anything unusual." It advises him, "Wait a sec." Just a second later, Kong Wu truly feels the change he was hoping for. A surge of energy suddenly erupts. Beneath his feet, black and blue lightning bolts intertwine. The abundant energy envelopes Kong Wu's body. He is stunned and exclaims, "What? What the hell is this?" Moros shouts to reassure him, "Don't panic. Calm down." But even it is surprised by the sight before its eyes. The fierce energy seems to gradually merge into every part of Kong Wu. He reaches out his hand to try moving. A pillar of yellow light flashes as if wanting to engulf his body. Its light illuminates the whole area, shooting straight up into the sky. The yellow pillar of light gradually fades, leaving only flashing streaks of light around Kong Wu's body. He is surprised to discover, "My power has increased." Kong Wu looks at the changes around him in surprise. His black chi clearly feels the surging energy. He is shocked. "I only swallowed one magic crystal, but I feel dizzyingly stronger." Kong Wu thinks to himself, "Now I understand why villains crave these magic crystals. But it feels kinda like cheating." He speaks in a low voice. "Moros, can you check my stats with your appraisal eye?" Time passes, and dusk gradually falls. Kong Wu's terrified scream easily shatters the initial silence. "Holy shit. My mana is 350. Identity, Villain Kong Wu. Trait, Transform into Villain. Rank, Disaster. Attribute, Darkness. Activation, Not applicable. Main skill, Shadow Mirror, Self-Recovery. Hidden skill, Magic Crystal Extraction. Mana, 350. No way. After all that, it only went up by 50 points. Moros is speechless. "What do you mean, only?" It lists a series of facts. Even if you swallowed the best magic crystal available, your skill points would only increase by 5 or 10 at most. The current development surprises even Moros. If it went up by 50 points, that's the highest ever recorded. A 500% increase. That means that magic crystal was really effective. At this moment, it suddenly thinks, even for someone at the disaster rank, this is too unbelievable. Kong Wu suddenly notices a detail. "What's this?" He points to a status line. It says Magic Crystal Extraction is under Hidden Skills. Kong Wu wonders, "So how am I supposed to use this?" Magic Crystal Extraction. Moros glances over and explains, "It does exactly what the name says." It explains further, extracts mana from weapons, including those made from gene crystals. Kong Wu scratches his head and utters a sentence that makes it fall over. "I thought it would be some overpowered hidden skill. Who knew it was so lame? What a disappointment." Moros immediately jumps up. "Lame." It raises its voice to explain at length. "Extracting magic crystals from weapons is unique to you. That means if you set your mind to it, you can have as many magic crystals as you want." Kong Wu seems to have an epiphany. "Where do I go to find these weapons made from magic crystals?" The scene shifts to a peaceful street under the evening sun. Da Wung appears with a precious sword at a donut shop. He enthusiastically rambles on. "Finally, you're back in my arms, my very own sword." The name sounds awesome too. It's the Great Bear and Four Tigers sword. Da Wung sees Wu Chan's cold reaction and grumbles, "Say something. Come on." He then gives a perfunctory compliment. "Nice sword." Da Wung gets even more annoyed. "That's the sword of my favorite king. Don't say it so soullessly." He meticulously introduces it. Made from at least 2 magic crystals, top-tier quality. This sword is absolutely peak. Wu Chan directly cuts him off. "Besides the sword, did you find anything about the villain who fought Blaster?" Da Wung is a bit resentful. "This guy? Look at him changing the subject." He says that but quickly gets serious. "I've scoured all the data, but found nothing. It seems he just recently transformed into a villain." Wu Chan is doubtful. Could it be an outsider? The other party thinks for a moment and replies, "Unlikely. Judging by his appearance and characteristics, he's definitely a villain." Then Da Wung pouts and complains, "And now is not the time to think about that guy." He ignores the people in the shop whispering about them. "Isn't that Li Da Wung? He's so handsome. That red hair looks so cute." Da Wung puts on a serious face and continues the conversation. "You've heard about the serial killer, right? The Gadam District Task Force has been put on red alert because of him." Wu Chan asks in confusion, "Isn't Strel that killer? They said he's the prime suspect." Da Wung waves his hand in denial. "It's not him." He frowns in confusion. He asks back, "How can you be sure?" The other party answers leisurely. "If it was a high-end sports car or electronic parts, it might be his doing, but..." Da Wung remembers that figure and firmly asserts in a low voice, He's far from being a killer. Wu-chan argues, Strel is a villain, a madman with unpredictable behavior. Do-woong doesn't rush to answer, but leisurely sips his tea. He analyzes seriously. Based on that cold-blooded killer, the probability of it being a villain is quite high. However, Do-woong smiles and asks back, do you think villains are just a bunch of people with mental issues? It could also be an ordinary person you'd least expect. His words make Wu-chan think of the time he met Kong-woo. Do-woong jokes to break the heavy atmosphere. Anyway, about your little sister, the model. You said she's a freshman? Wu-chan directly cuts him off. I've set a curfew. He can only smile awkwardly. How thoughtful. Do-woong advises him. Until the serial killer is caught, it's best to be careful. Wu-chan lowers his eyes in thought and doesn't reply. The scene shifts to the G building. The lighting equipment is fully set up. The photographer holds up the camera and reminds them, smile cuter, and he takes pictures of the two beautiful models. He snaps continuously and nods. All right. Both models coordinate well. He doesn't spare his compliments. Great job. Time passes, and it gradually gets dark. This is Kim Na-eun, a freshman at Seowa High School, Kim Wu-chan's younger sister. She just looked at the clock on her phone and is stunned. Damn, it's already 7 o'clock. Na-eun mutters softly. I thought I'd drop by to buy some stationery, but it looks like that's going to be tough. She is still telling herself, I want to buy that limited edition bottle. She suddenly notices the girl nearby. She is Na-eun's partner from earlier, Min-young, a freshman at Seowa High School. Na-eun approaches and starts a conversation. Min-young, you're still here? Seeing her, she cheers. Na-eun. She tilts her head, waiting for the other party to continue. Min-young moves her lips, hesitating. Then she suddenly walks over, links arms with Na-eun, and calls her name. Min-young's expression is unnatural as she suggests, let's go to the claw machine. Na-eun is also confused. So sudden. Min-young continues to plead. It's been a long time since we went there. Let's go. She is also in a tough spot. Has it been that long? The other party insists on dragging her along. Just one game. Let's go. Hurry up. Na-eun still hesitates. I can't. Thanks to my brother, I have a curfew. Min-young acts cute, blinking her sparkling eyes at her. Please. Na-eun surrenders. Just one game. The other party smiles happily and replies, okay, okay. They walk further away. A strange figure hides and follows right behind them. The person's eyes show clear malice as they let out an evil laugh. The evening sun envelopes the space. A prominent post with the title, The Indiscriminate Killer Will Definitely Be Caught. Special forces have been dispatched to ease the fears of Gadam district residents. Kong-woo sighs softly. 3 people have already been killed. Moros asks, are you considering accepting Strel's offer? He replies in a low voice. That offer isn't appealing to me at all, but Kong-woo pauses for a moment and then speaks seriously. This cold-blooded killer has already taken too many lives. I can't just sit back and watch that bastard run wild. Moro squints at him. He scrolls the mouse and says casually, finding a killer who strikes without a reason is pretty tough. Kong-woo thoughtfully observes the area map on the screen. There's no information other than the fact that the murders happened in Gadam district. Moros adds, what about the thing you got from Strel? Yet Kong-woo foolishly asks back, which one? Moros is left speechless. The scene shifts to an earlier time, at an abandoned building. Kong-woo takes the phone and asks suspiciously, why are you giving me this? The other party answers leisurely, we need something to communicate with. Strel smiles and explains, I made this, so it can only send and receive text messages via Wi-Fi. There's no GPS tracker. Don't worry. Kong-woo is about to refuse. I don't need it. Strel cuts him off beforehand. I'll also send you leads on the killer through this. He makes a very tempting offer. And of course, you can message me back anytime. Strel makes his stance clear. I will support you fully and thoroughly. So make sure the killer is caught. That's a request. This time Kong-woo doesn't refuse, just silently stares at the device in his hand. Back to the present. He seems to be thinking about something, staring intently at the phone. He hesitates, intending to turn on the screen. Kong-woo frowns tightly, debating for a long time. Finally, he decisively places the phone face down on the table. Forget it, I can't do this. Kong-woo walks straight out the door. I have my own pride too. How could I casually communicate with a villain? Moros asks curiously, "Where are you going, kid?" He replies sternly, "I can't just sit around doing nothing." Kangwoo looks back at it. If the brain isn't working, the legs should step up instead. The scene shifts to a brightly lit arcade. Cheerful cheers ring out in front of a claw machine. "All right, you got it." Ignoring Min Young's excited cheering. "Just a little more. You can do it." Naeun is still highly focused on maneuvering the controls. The result is a failure. Min Young lets out a cry of regret. Naeun's spirit crumbles as she sighs. The person next to her also sighs softly. Next time, she takes the opportunity to invite her. "Why don't we play one more time? Let's try again." Naeun shakes her head in refusal. "This is so wrong. I should get going now." They don't notice the drone following them outside. Min Young is still stubbornly pleading, "Really?" But it's not even 8 o'clock yet. The device outside has a camera attached, secretly tracking them. Naeun has also lost her patience by now. "I told you, right? My annoying brother set a curfew." Min Young lowers her eyes, looking sad. She asks in a small voice, "Can't you stay just a little longer?" Naeun notices something unusual. Is something wrong? The other party just purses her lips and doesn't answer. Min Young hesitates for a long time before finally opening up. "Actually, I saw it." Naeun asks suspiciously, "Saw what?" The other party recounts. "As you know, one of our classmates was murdered a few days ago." Her last sentence startles Naeun. "I saw him." She seems unable to believe it and quickly asks, "What?" Min Young expresses in a tiny voice, "I wanted to tell someone, but I was too scared." Tears well up in her eyes, her whole body trembling violently. "It feels like I'm going to be next." Naeun asks in panic, "Did he see you?" She receives a nod of admission from the other party. She quickly grabs Min Young's hand. "This is no time to be doing this." Naeun suggests seriously, "It's not too late. We need to go to the police station right now. I'll go with you." She says this and directly pulls Min Young to run, urging her as they go, "Hurry up. If you saw the killer, then we're both in danger." At that very moment, the door in front of them suddenly begins to close. Both of them stare in shock as their exit shuts down. Naeun looks around. What the hell is this? Why are the shutters closing? Who turned off the lights? Suddenly, she notices something on the ground. A puddle of red liquid right at Naeun's feet. Blood. At the same time, a sinister voice rings out. "Well, we meet again." Both of them turn their heads toward the voice. Something slimy is bubbling up and taking shape. Drop by drop, it stands upright. Both tremble in fear. Min Young can't control herself and screams. The pool of blood in front of them has gradually taken form. It's the villain Black Rain. Mage. Skill, spirit sense. He grins sinisterly and greets them. Poor children. At this time, Kangwoo is outside, standing high up and looking down at the street. He is observing something intently. Moros mutters, "I'm not sure if wandering aimlessly like this is useful." Kangwoo reminds it coldly. "If you're going to keep complaining, you should have stayed home." Moros lowers its eyes and complains, "Even if I wanted to, I still have to stay within a certain range of you." His phone suddenly rings. He curiously picks it up to check. Moros peeks in. "Isn't that the phone Strel gave you?" It casually throws in a few sarcastic remarks. "Even with your pride, you didn't throw it away." Kangwoo stubbornly argues back. "I would have thrown it away if that bastard sent something weird." But as soon as he sees what was sent, he is stunned. On the other side, Naeun and Min Young are facing danger. The villain Black Rain bares his teeth in a sinister smile, looking at them. Naeun bites her lip, full of vigilance. She stares tensely at the opponent. A villain. Naeun guesses inwardly. He must be the killer Min Young saw. Min Young covers her mouth, her voice trembling as she asks, "What do we do now?" The scene shifts back to an earlier time. Wu Chan handed Naeun something and instructed, "Take this." At that time, she was very confused. "What's this?" Her brother explained briefly, "An alarm device." Wu Chan also casually reminded her, "Don't just press it for fun." He looked extremely serious. "If you encounter an emergency, press it. I'll immediately rush to you." Naeun just nodded slightly and took it. In a situation exactly like the current one, she quietly presses the alarm device. Naeun grits her teeth nervously and thinks to herself, "This is no joke. So you better drag yourself here fast." The sky grows darker. The area around the arcade remains as deserted as before. Black Rain raises his slimy hand, dripping with glass shards, and opens his mouth. You look tired, sweetie. He has almost returned to his physical form, baring his teeth in a ferocious smile. I will give you pitiful creatures the gift of eternal sleep. Naun bravely shouts, interrupting him, which slightly stuns Black Rain. Shut up, you psycho. She even audaciously gives him the middle finger and scolds him. If eternal sleep sounds so great, go give it to yourself. Black Rain narrows his eyes, showing clear dissatisfaction. What an insolent little brat. He slowly steps closer to the two of them. Naun anxiously bites her lip, telling herself, I need to stall for time. Until my brother gets here. She questions him, why? Why are you doing this? Black Rain tilts his head slightly, his face emotionless. He lets out a cold laugh. Are you seriously asking? Does there have to be a reason when pursuing something? Naun can't understand at all. What the hell is he talking about? He's completely insane. Black Rain slowly licks the dripping blood on his fingertips and speaks. However, I will answer that naive question of yours. He puts on a twisted, perverted expression, laughing maniacally as he utters every word. Thirsting for fresh blood and tearing apart empty bodies. There is only one truth in this world that I have realized. That there is nothing more pleasant in this world than that. Naun pulls the trembling Min Young back. She screams in panic. Stay there. Take one more step, and you're dead. I'm warning you. Black Rain quickly grasps the main point in her next sentence. My brother will be here any second. Seeing him pause slightly, Naun boldly shouts. He's really strong. 3 seconds is all it takes for him to send you to your maker. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, Black Rain smirks. He asks back, your strong brother will be here soon? You look like nothing but a filthy little bug. Naun replies decisively, if you're scared, then run. Black Rain leisurely raises his hand, smiling without a smile, and says, in that case, I wonder what your brother will look like. He creates a red sphere and slowly utters, when he sees the dried-up, blood-drained corpse of his little sister. Min Young and Na-un turn pale with fear, standing frozen in place. Black Rain shoots out a blazing red beam of light and says, but first. The speed is too fast. Na-un can only watch it approach with wide eyes. That red beam rushes straight toward her side. But it just brushes past Na-un, piercing straight into Min Young standing next to her. She looks back in panic, only to see her friend fall. Fresh blood splatters onto Na-un's pale face. She lets out a heart-wrenching scream. Min Young. Na-un rushes over and shakes her friend. Min Young, wake up. She can't accept this reality, her voice trembling as she repeats. Min Young. Min Young. Na-un bursts into tears. Black Rain leisurely walks up to her. Now it's your turn. He raises his hand, preparing to strike. Become a sweet little gift for your brother. Na-un shuts her eyes tight in fear. Just when she thinks she's done for, a furious shout rings out. You motherfucker. A figure crashes through the glass door and charges in. Na-un instinctively looks back in a daze. Black Rain is also surprised by this unexpected variable. The figure charges straight at him. Here's a gift for you. His sharp eyes glow brightly as he swings his arm to launch a black chi attack. He throws the attack at his opponent. Take this. Shadow Blade. The strike appears right before Black Rain's eyes in a flash. He hastily bends his knees to dodge the attack. Black Rain looks up as before and smiles with amusement. But unexpectedly, Kongwu has already teleported and closed in on him. Black Rain is no pushover either. He changes his stance, planting his hands on the ground. Kongwu senses something wrong and stops. He quickly gets into a defensive stance to block the opponent's spinning kick. Kongwu steps back and lands firmly. His black chi is trembling. He looks down in shock. Black Rain finally gets a clear look at his attacker's face. He thinks to himself, who is this punk? Is that girl's super strong brother a villain? But Na-un herself is currently stunned, wondering, who is he? Kongwu just keeps a stern face, silently standing in front of her to protect her. Black Rain narrows his eyes, observing his opponent. He ponders, I've never seen a skill like that. And this guy too. Black Rain suddenly remembers something. Wait, that's the punk who took down Blaster. Now he's coming after me? Just thinking about this makes him feel strangely excited. This is gonna be fun. Black Rain speaks first. I guess I should retreat for today, huh? But don't think you're safe. Kongwu widens his eyes in surprise. Black rain dissolves into a pool of blood. Before leaving, he drops a threat. You will slowly die within me. Naon trembles as she listens to the eerie, echoing sound. Die? It will be a sweet death. Kongwu hurriedly chases after him. Stop. Where do you think you're running? But in the end, he's too late. Drops of liquid hovering in the air slip through his palm. Black rain successfully escapes. Only a little red liquid is left before their eyes. Kongwu watches all traces of him being erased, feeling extremely annoyed. He looks around. Damn it. Did he go outside? An anxious voice suddenly rings out. Hey, wait a minute. Naon asks in a low voice. I want to ask you for a favor. Kongwu turns his head to look back. She immediately pleads. Please save my friend. Tears well up in her eyes, her voice full of desperation. Please. The scene shifts to another side. Someone speaks hesitantly. That alarm button. In a car, Do Woong asks the other person, do you think she pressed it by mistake or is playing a prank? Wu Chan lowers his head and directly refutes. If that were the case, she would have at least called back. And she wouldn't joke about things like this. Do Woong immediately realizes the severity of the problem and quickly corrects himself. Right. He tries to reassure him. I've alerted the police too. They should be on their way. Wu Chan just stares intently at his phone screen, his mind in a tangled mess. Please, be safe. The scene shifts back to the arcade from earlier. Kongwu is helping Na-eun and the other girl. There's a critical patient here. Please send an ambulance immediately. I'm begging you. He hangs up the phone and continues giving instructions. The ambulance is on its way. We need to stop the bleeding first. If you have a handkerchief or something to clean the wound, give it to me. Na-eun is a bit flustered. She searches her bag following Kong-woo's instructions. If possible, get something with good elasticity. Good elasticity? After searching for a while, Na-eun pulls something out. Kong-woo takes it, bewildered. What the hell is this? Na-eun explains seriously, fishnet stockings. The elasticity is super good. Min Young receives basic first aid from them. Kong-woo speaks up. Can you check her condition? Moros glares and asks back. Are you asking me to check how critical she is? If that's the case, there's no need to use the appraisal eye. It talks tough, but still helps him take a look. Moros concludes, right now, there are no fatal wounds. Kong-woo breathes a sigh of relief. Thank God. Na-eun asks him worriedly, will Min Young be okay? He answers honestly. If the medical team arrives in time, she'll be fine. Hearing this, her face lights up with joy. Really? Suddenly, light shines into the store along with the sound of an engine. Kong-woo is quite surprised. That was fast. He quickly leaves. I've done the first aid. Let them handle the rest. Na-eun stares blankly after him. Thank you. She hesitates and wonders. Are you leaving already? Kong-woo coldly turns his head back. Of course. What do you expect me to do once everyone sees me and runs away? Na-eun watches his back as he disappears without a trace in a flash. She just stares blankly at that spot for a long time. Outside, Kong-woo moves at extreme speed across the buildings. Moros, beside him, remarks, they're lucky. If you hadn't gotten there in time, those two girls would be dead. Kong-woo glances to the side, seemingly noticing something. He aims straight for the building ahead. Then he stops and lands. Kong-woo looks back and mutters, now there's something else for me to worry about. He refers to the device following him. What's that? A whistle rings out along with a flurry of feathers falling. Kong-woo and Moros look over. Crow makes a very impressive appearance. She smiles cheerfully and greets him. We meet again. The two crows perched on her also mimic similar words. Seeing Kong-woo not reacting, Crow steps forward. Don't you remember me? That makes me sad. Sad enough to kill you. He tries to search his memory for her image. That woman must be. On another side, Strel is leisurely observing the situation over here through a screen. Kong-woo replies, I saw your face a few hours ago. I don't forget things that fast. She giggles. Thanks for remembering me. Crow takes a few steps forward. Have I introduced myself yet? She smiles and introduces herself. I'm Javan. It's a name that suits me, don't you think? Crow strikes up a conversation. And you are? Kong-woo follows up. I don't have a name. She laughs with amusement. So you still don't have a villain alias? Kong-woo doesn't like beating around the bush. Put the villain alias service aside. Tell me what that thing is first. Crow follows his gaze and then explains, to catch the killer, Strel brought this to areas where he's likely to attack. He has hundreds of these. Kong-woo wonders, did I send my location through that thing? She frankly admits it. Crow helpfully adds, thanks to it, we can track down who the killer is. He asks directly, you know him? Crow smiles. Black Rain, roaming all over the country to kill people. She pauses for a moment. To be honest, I suspected he was responsible for this, but tracking him is really hard, so I wasn't entirely sure. The crow beside her chimes in, scolding, that despicable bastard. Crow strokes the crows. Besides, there's an inside story to this. She suddenly changes her tone. Forget what I just said. Instead, I'll ask you for a fresh kill. Kong-woo frowns and remarks, this woman is so practical. Crow looks at the camera and blows a kiss. I don't want to do anything to make Strel sad. Strel is busy searching. Where's my American popcorn? I'm sure I left it somewhere in here. She suddenly lets out an as if remembering something. Crow takes out an item. Strel asked me to give this to you. He said he'll explain once you deal with this. She tosses it to Kong-woo. Catch. He looks at it curiously. What the hell is this? She replies, a part of the promised payment. Inside the box are 3 sparkling stones. Kong-woo is shocked to realize, magic crystals. What surprises him even more is the quality of the crystals in the box. And they're top tier. The scene shifts to the next day. The news broadcast reports, yesterday, around 8 p.m., the villain suspected of being a serial killer struck again. Yuri is watching the news, so she doesn't notice Kong-woo walking out. Fortunately, the priests arrived at the scene right after being notified of the situation. There were no casualties. A high school girl is being treated at the hospital. Luckily, her injuries are not life-threatening. Hearing this, she breathes a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. Yuri turns to ask, are you going to school? He replies in a low voice, yes. She calls out worriedly, Kong-woo, remember to be careful. Kong-woo quickly responds, yes, I know. The sky today is still so clear and blue. He looks around and reflects. I've possessed Kong-woo's body for a while now. Kong-woo tells himself, I need to become stronger to take revenge on Lampa. He glances at Moros beside him and thinks, but I don't know how much I can trust this weird thing. Kong-woo frowns in thought. The deal I agreed to with those guys in the villain zone is also stressing me out. Back to the previous night. Kong-woo was very surprised when he received the item from Crow. She gave me 3 top-tier magic crystals. He gently touches the crystals. Kong-woo is a bit suspicious. And this is only a part of the promise? Crow chuckles. Not enough. He replies in a low voice, more like a bit too much. She agrees, I thought so too. Then Crow reminds him, but that guy is really strong. With your current magical power, you won't be able to take him down. Kong-woo stubbornly interrupts, I'll be fine. Crow adds, there's also a micro GPS tracking device made by Strel. You can use it whenever you want. Before leaving, she suddenly remembers something. And Strel made a list of places Black Rain has appeared. Open the file to check it out. Crow suddenly drops her smile. To be honest, I don't have high expectations for you. But she drags out her words. If you disappoint Strel, Crow leaves it at that and stares at Kong-woo with eyes full of murderous intent. You understand, right? Remembering this, Kong-woo frowns in annoyance. He shakes his head and mutters, what the hell are they doing? Moros kindly reminds him, this isn't the way to school. Kong-woo keeps walking straight. I have somewhere I need to be. It sighs softly. He's skipping class. He thinks as he walks. Looking at the data Strel sent, Siowa High School is a very notable location. Kong-woo reviews a series of events that happened. The 2 girls who were followed by the villain yesterday also go to Siowa High School. There must be clues around here. Moros is doubtful. Are you planning to walk around this area and ask about him? He replies calmly, if I have to, I will. However, there's something else on my mind. Kong-woo searches for something on his phone. That pink-haired girl from yesterday. She's the younger sister of the priest in training at our school. His eyes stop on a photo from Naun's post. The comments below clearly state that she is Kim Woo-chan's sister. Kong-woo has things to do. First, I need to call in sick. Moros watches him speechlessly as he pretends to clear his throat and cough. Hello? This is Kong-woo. I have a pretty bad cold, so I need to stay home and rest today. The scene shifts to a hospital in the downtown area. In the hospital corridor, a figure sits silently. Someone holding a cup of coffee approaches and calls his name. Wu Chan. Wu Chan looks up and greets him. Senior. Do Wong asks, did you stay up all night? He sits down next to him. How is Naon? Wu Chan lowers his head and replies, she just fell asleep. Do Wong breathes a sigh of relief. Then he hears the other party ask, did you read the incident report? He answers, I read it. Do Wong slowly analyzes. It's very difficult to check the surveillance camera footage because they were destroyed. But from the report, it's easy to tell that the killer is Black Rain. He recounts, according to Black Rain's profile, he drains his victim's blood and leaves the body intact. But the bodies of the victims found in Gadam district were all dismembered. Do Wong gets a headache talking about this. Therefore, we crossed him off the list of suspects. I can't believe it was him. He sighs heavily. Wu Chan speaks up to probe. The villain who saved Na-eun and Min-young. Do Wong immediately confirms his thought. Seems like it's the guy from last time, right? Wu Chan ponders, recalling everything. He recounts in a low voice. Na-eun said he was her savior. Wu Chan suddenly feels confused. If he's a villain, he should be a crazy maniac. But he saved everyone. And my sister too. He can't understand. What is all this about? Do Wong frowns and adds, that's what I'm thinking too. He remarks, he even fought Blaster. Who the hell is he? Wu Chan lowers his eyes in deep thought. The cup of coffee in his hand gradually goes cold. The scene shifts to the gate of Siowa High School. Kong Wu stands to the side, observing the flow of people passing by. He watches the backs of the people on the street. Moros whispers, you've come a long way. Skipping school and coming here. Kong Wu follows them to a convenience store. He randomly grabs a can of soda. A group of schoolgirls is chatting with the clerk. Are you a model? He smiles friendly and replies, I told you, I'm not. I'm just an ordinary student. The girls get even more excited and keep asking. You're so handsome. What school do you go to? The clerk smiles questioningly. Why? Do you want to know? Kong Wu goes to the counter to pay, interrupting their conversation. I want to get this. He coldly observes the other party. The person in front of him quickly replies, sure. I'll print the receipt for you right away. He acts friendly. At the convenience store, the cashier scans the product barcode. Then he announces the price. That'll be 3,200 won. Kong Wu takes out his wallet to get his card to pay. He suddenly notices a book lying on the corner of the counter. Corpse's Bride. Kong Wu unconsciously stares at it for a long time. The cashier continues to process the payment according to standard procedure. An old man walks in and asks with a smile, can I take the scrap paper? The clerk nods politely. Yes. Please wait a moment. I'll bring it out for you. This friendly behavior quickly wins everyone's affection. Thank you, young man. As he walks past Kong Wu, whether intentionally or not, the cashier bumps hard into his shoulder. Moro suddenly senses something unusual. He bows his head to Kong Wu. I'm sorry. He and Moro stand there, watching the clerk's actions. Kong Wu frowns in deep thought. After that, he walks out of the store. Moros calls his name. Cashin. It intends to remind him. There's something I need to tell you. Kong Wu directly interrupts. He's a villain, right? Moros widens its eyes in shock. Kong Wu explains. The moment I looked into that bastard's eyes, I knew. Moros hesitates, but I'm not sure if he's Black Rain. He suddenly blurts out a sentence. Corpse's Bride. That was the title of the book Kong Wu saw earlier. He slowly analyzed it. That's a classic vampire trope. Kong Wu connected it with what Black Rain had said earlier. You will enjoy a sweet death. You will die by my hands. He had every reason to be suspicious. You will die by my hands. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. It's a line from a novel. Moros marveled. I'm surprised you remember things like that. Kong Wu replied in a low voice. I read a few books back at the orphanage. He picked up his cola and took a sip. Kong Wu chuckled softly. Let's go check on our target. Let's see if it's really him. He once again set his sights on the convenience store from earlier. The clerk had just gotten off work. Kong Wu followed the guys back. They returned to the familiar street. Moros narrowed its eyes in deep thought. It muttered, this isn't the way to Siowa Girls High School. Kong Wu himself started getting curious. Where is this guy going? Suddenly, something else caught his attention. An old man was in danger. A car was speeding straight toward him, and the old man was too slow to notice. Kong Wu dashed over just in time, grabbing him and dodging to the side. The car slammed on its brakes. The driver rushed out in a panic. "Are you okay, sir?" Having saved the old man, Kangwoo suddenly realized what he had forgotten. He had completely lost track of the clerk. Kangwoo gritted his teeth, his frustration showing on his face. The scene shifted to a certain building. Moros muttered, "I didn't expect you to choose a place like this to transform." Kangwoo had no other choice. There are no rooftops around here to access. He tossed the magic crystal into his mouth. "I have to use this first." A blinding golden light flashed once again. Kangwoo's entire body was enveloped by the energy. He suggested, "Moros, use the evil eye to check my stats." The status board displayed the details. Villain, Quan Kangwoo. Special attribute, Disaster class, Villain transformation, Dark attribute. Transformation trigger, Rage. Main skills, Night Blade, Self-regeneration, Dark Hide, Dark Shadow. Hidden skill, Magic Stone Extraction. Magic stat, 470. Kangwoo noticed one thing. "I got 2 new skills, Dark Hide and Dark Shadow." Moros explained, "Increasing your magic stat helped evolve the skills you already possess." He found it truly miraculous. "I get new skills just by increasing my magic stat? When I was a cleric, I could only get stronger through rigorous training." But as he looked down at his magic stat, he immediately felt dissatisfied. "My magic stat is only 470. Why is that? I used 3 magic stones. Why did I only get 120 points?" Moros explained the situation. "Your body might have developed a resistance to the magic crystals. The next time you use a magic stone, the effect will decrease even more. After a while, you'll only see minor changes." Kangwoo suddenly understood everything. If someone could get stronger just by using magic stones, he wouldn't have given them to me. He rubbed his chin in thought. "That means I can't just rely on magic stones to get stronger. I should think of other methods, like training or something." Kangwoo made a request. "Moros, show me Black Rain stats too." It hesitated. "I've already used it twice today. If I use it a 3rd time." He cut it off directly. "I know." Black Rain's status board appeared before his eyes. Villain, Black Rain. Special attribute, Villain transformation, Mind attribute. Transformation trigger, Lust. Main skills, Blood Sword, Blood Strike, Hypnosis, Intimidation. Magic stat, 1000. Kangwoo recalled their brief clash earlier. Blood Sword. Is that what we saw yesterday? Right below Blood Sword was a series of skills, Blood Strike, Hypnosis, Intimidation. He muttered, "His attributes are related to the mind." Moros confirmed, "That's right. His attributes are all related to mind control." Kangwoo repeated the word in a low voice. "Hypnosis." He made an observation. "This won't be easy at all." The scene shifted to a certain hospital. The main lobby was completely deserted. Only a few nurses were scattered, walking down the hallway. A red beam of light flashed next to a hospital room. A red liquid spread across the floor. Black Rain manipulated the hospital staff there. "Become my loyal servants." Their faces suddenly became twisted and distorted. Black Rain bared his teeth in a grin and ordered, "Bring your children to me." Still in that hospital building, a few police officers stood guard in front of a hospital room. Naeun sat by Minyoung's hospital bed. She was scrolling through the profiles of some villains, feeling a bit disappointed. None of them are him. Naeun grew even more curious. Who could he be? The hospital room door suddenly opened. Someone called her name. Ki Naeun. They walked in and announced, "Minyoung needs to undergo some health checkups now." Naeun was a bit surprised. "Right now?" The doctors and nurses insisted, "It's really important. It would be great if you could act as her guardian and accompany her." Naeun listened in bewilderment. Both the nurses and doctors simultaneously flashed a bizarre smile in response. The sky gradually darkened. Several pitch-black beams of light suddenly appeared in an alleyway. Kangwoo appeared there in his villain form. His body emerged from the wall, and then he abruptly appeared on a rooftop elsewhere. Kangwoo's figure vanished in a flash once again. Streams of black aura stretched like silk through the high-rise buildings. Kangwoo tested out his new skills. "I can link Dark Hide and Dark Shadow, then use them together." Moros suddenly spoke up. "That's not a very good idea." He tucked his body in and landed. Moros continued its unfinished warning. "Along the way, I noticed your magic consumption is very high. You should use it more carefully." Kangwoo snapped back irritably. "You're starting to nag again." His phone began emitting an alert notification. Kangwoo quickly checked it. Looks like it. He looked toward the nearby hospital. I also think I used a bit too much. But that damn Black Rain. He's actually heading to the hospital where that girl was admitted yesterday. Kangwoo suddenly felt lucky for his previous actions. Good thing I was quick-witted enough to plant a GPS on him. He suddenly remembered Naun's fragile appearance. Then Kangwoo frowned. There's no reason to hesitate any longer. He immediately set off. Kangwoo rushed into action. Hurry! The lighting in the parking garage was quite dim. Minyoung was placed on a stretcher by the staff and wheeled away. Naun asked them in confusion. Excuse me, why are you putting the patient in an ambulance for a health checkup? The doctors and nurses replied mechanically. This is a crucial test that cannot be performed at the hospital. She grew even more confused. What does that mean? Right at that moment, Black Rain's voice rang out, making the hair on the back of Naun's neck stand up. Because this is a test of loyalty. She stiffly turned her head to look behind her. Black Rain gradually materialized, laughing loudly. It's a pleasure to see you again. You will die in my arms. Naun's eyes widened in terror. She turned back to warn the others. A villain? Run. But no one responded to Naun. Their eyes glowed red, staring at her eerily. The red liquid gradually spread to Naun's feet. Black Rain spoke with glee. They only listened to my orders. In a flash, he was standing right in front of Naun. He lifted her chin. I can turn you into an obedient puppet just like them. Black Rain gripped her chin tightly, grinding out every word. But it's not working. Naun tremblingly pressed the alarm button. Black Rain looked impressed. You have a strong will. You've overcome the human instinct of fear and terror. He stared at Naun greedily. You are very suitable to be my bride. A sudden voice rang out, startling both her and Black Rain. Take your hands off her, you crazy bastard. He let go and looked around, shouting, Who's there? The voice whispered in Naun's ear. Get down when I count to 3. Black Rain also noticed the anomaly. No way. It's that bastard. As soon as Kangwoo counted to 3, Naun grabbed her head and dropped to the ground. The very next second, he made a badass entrance, kicking straight into Black Rain's dumbfounded face. The guy was sent flying backward. Before Black Rain could even regain his footing, he was forced to watch helplessly as Kangwoo continued his assault. He gave the guy a bonus heavy kick. This time, it was a spinning kick to the chest. Black Rain couldn't fight back, getting slammed straight into the wall by him. He coughed up blood in pain, roaring in indignant fury. Damn it! He's here again. Kangwoo leaped forward, closing the distance in a burst of speed. This is just the beginning. Black Rain's eyes bulged. He barely managed to dodge Kangwoo's fatal punch. He continued to unleash a barrage of strikes right at Black Rain's face. The guy gritted his teeth in bitter resentment. This time, it was Black Rain's turn to counterattack. He unleashed his ultimate move. Blood Sword. Kangwoo ducked to dodge, positioning himself for the next strike. He delivered a brutal uppercut to Black Rain. Kangwoo kept attacking relentlessly. Die! Each enhanced punch rained down on Black Rain, leaving him with no choice but to lie there and take the beating. Kangwoo grabbed him tightly by the collar. Black Rain suddenly shot up and looked straight into his eyes. His eyes widened. Hypnosis. Kangwoo momentarily froze. Black Rain immediately burst into smug laughter. I've got you now. How dare you? But before he could finish his sentence, Kangwoo held up 2 fingers. He poked Black Rain right in the eyes. Fresh blood spurted out. He screamed in agony. Black Rain clutched his face and hastily backed away. The surroundings shook from the impact. Kangwoo lunged forward and grabbed his head. He ruthlessly slammed Black Rain's head into the ground. The powerful blow shattered the concrete. Kangwoo sneered. It seems you've been living quite comfortably with your despicable desires all this time. He raised his fist, ready to strike. Now it's time to pay the price. Black Rain was beaten black and blue, yet he still confidently bared his teeth in a grin. Naun trembled on the sidelines, witnessing everything. Kangwoo growled, You think this is funny? The guy laughed even harder. Of course. Why wouldn't it be fun? Black Rain boldly declared, You will never defeat me, because this is exactly what I am. Kangwoo couldn't understand it at all. What the hell are you talking about, you crazy bastard? The guy just cackled and melted into the puddle of liquid. Black Rain's body vanished once again, just like last time. His hearty laughter echoed in his ears. Only now did Kangwoo realize something was wrong. He decisively punched down hard at Black Rain's face, but the guy had already escaped without a trace. Moros grumbled, "This guy's skill is so annoying." It analyzed the situation. Physical attacks have no effect when he turns into his blood form. Kangwoo immediately felt frustrated. He thought back to his past self and muttered, "Damn it. If I could still use fire magic, he'd be dead meat." A commotion came from nearby. Where did he go? The doctors and nurses had regained their senses, looking around in confusion. "Why am I in the parking lot?" Naon ran over to check on them. "Is everyone okay?" Moros whispered. "The hypnosis has worn off." Kangwoo shouted, "Doctors and nurses over there. Move the patient to a safe place, now." The group looked over in panic, startled. A villain. He only left one sentence before disappearing again. Naon hurriedly tried to stop him. "Wait." She once again watched helplessly as Kangwoo vanished in a flash. Meanwhile, Kangwoo was busy with something else. He sprinted around frantically. He couldn't have gone far. Kangwoo made up his mind. "We have to catch up to him quickly." From another direction, figures were also rushing over. Kangwoo was highly focused, dashing straight toward the pathway ahead. Suddenly, two figures appeared out of nowhere. He slammed on the brakes. Daewon was stunned. A villain. Kangwoo froze, letting out a gasp of surprise. Wuchan was equally shocked. "It's him." Daewon was the first to draw his weapon. He charged forward to attack. Flying sword. Kangwoo, of course, wasn't going to just stand there and take the hit. He immediately retaliated. "You think that's enough to stop me?" He directly parried his opponent's sword strike. "Get out of my way and don't block my path." The treasured Great Bear and Four Tigers sword spun several times in the air. Finally, it landed in Daewon's hand. He urged his teammate, "Wuchan, why are you standing there like a statue?" Wuchan remembered what had happened before and hesitated for a moment. Naon had said, "He saved her." And then he remembered the death of his loved one. Daewon's call snapped him out of it. "Kim Wuchan." Wuchan pulled his hands back, preparing to unleash a skill. He reminded himself, villains are the ones who must be destroyed. His eyes sharpened, staring emotionlessly at the enemy in front of him. Wuchan decisively launched his attack. Flames. The fire erupted, surging forward as if to swallow Kangwoo whole. He immediately launched a counterattack. The ground began to shake. "Nightblade." Kangwoo spoke irritably. "Damn it. This is so annoying." Daewon suddenly appeared behind him. He sharply detected the danger. Daewon slashed at him without hesitation. Great thunder. Kangwoo tried to dodge, but wasn't fast enough. The sword grazed his side, leaving a trail of blood. Daewon shouted in excitement. "Now, finish him off." Kangwoo was surrounded from the front and back. Wuchan unleashed his move from the front. He was fully prepared. But at the exact moment he was about to attack Kangwoo, Wuchan suddenly remembered what his sister had told him. "He saved me." He lost focus for a split second. Kangwoo noticed the opening and seized the opportunity. He had just enough space to escape through the pathway. Kangwoo acted on his thoughts immediately. He skillfully utilized his new skill to get away. Daewon yelled, "Kim Wuchan, where is your head at?" He replied blankly, "I'm sorry." He also noticed something was wrong. "You've been acting like you lost your soul today." The basement fell into silence once again. Daewon tapped his sword and muttered, "What was that just now?" It felt like he vanished into the shadows. A dark skill? That's the first time I've seen something like that. He turned his head to look at Wuchan. "How are we going to report this?" He remained silent and didn't answer. Daewon approached to reassure him. "Don't beat yourself up over it." He chuckled. "What are you standing there for? Go take care of your sister." Wuchan lowered his eyes without saying a word. It took a long while before he finally opened his mouth. Daewon sighed. "Anyway, this is really frustrating. We lost track of both of them."